is a slog. And don't even get me started on boss fights. I like that they wanted to make boss fights a little more meaningful here, have a little more meat on their bones. I think that's a good idea, but it does not feel good with the current state of the gameplay here, where you just feel so wimpy and weak. Like, I'm not exaggerating. There has not been a boss fight that I've encountered throughout campaign that's taken me less than like 8 to 10 minutes. And Zalmarath, don't even fucking get me started on that. Zalmarath, in the current patch here, when you are fighting that boss, that's the boss in the grotto, you're gonna need to stand up mid-fight multiple times, otherwise you're probably gonna fucking collapse and die from deep vein thrombosis. It takes so goddamn long to kill him. You just don't do damage anymore. And I understand that in the last league, there were things that were broken that trivialized a lot of the experience, and I know GGG wants to make it more slow and meaningful combat, but this is not that. It's slow, tedious, and there is no meaning behind it other than suffering. I cannot stand the leveling in the current patch. So I feel like I wasted like 5 to 6 hours, because then I still have to go through it on Cruel again anyway, and it's just so mind-numbingly boring. It is so boring. Like, I can't even say it's challenging, because it's really not. It just feels bad to play. Like, the challenge is in not falling asleep or rage quitting out of frustration for how long it takes to kill normal fucking mobs. But I'm gonna push through and keep grinding it, because all the changes they made to the endgame sound like such a significant improvement that I'm really excited to get there, and hopefully that's where it starts to shine. But they have completely ruined the leveling process. Like, Act 1 through 3 has been truly miserable. Absolutely miserable. Whereas in the last league, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun going through the campaign. I streamed most of it too. Like, I had a good time leveling. Now, oh my god, it's fucking terrible. Disappointing doesn't even begin to cover it. I'm just really surprised that it's in the state that it's in. Like, I don't know who would think that this is an improvement over the leveling experience in the last league. It is, by all definitions, just worse, I feel. I just don't understand what went wrong. I didn't see any complaints about, like, the leveling experience last league. In fact, I saw a lot of praise for the campaign being fun, but maybe I was just in, like, a little echo chamber, my little bubble of friends that really enjoyed going through the campaign. But I don't know. I'll stop ranting and raving about it. But yeah, I got my day off to a disappointing start. Disappointing, again, might not even be the right word. I was fuming. It's been a while since a game's made me, like, actually yelp and yell in anger. But I beat Zalmarath, like, early this morning.
Good day, Commander.
And it took me, like, an hour and a half on just that boss.
Done.
And every time I'd get him to, like, one fucking tiddlywink of health, like one tiny little, like, bumblebee's pube hair away from dying, and then he'd have the minions who are constantly swooping through come through and just immediately proc ice on me, and I'd die. It happened like 3 times. I didn't even know my body was capable of some of those, like, Looney Tunes sounds that were coming out of me, just out of absolute, like subconscious frustration. It was awful. Man, so yeah. PoE 2 0.2 is very disappointing. I am so disappointed by it, unfortunately. But anyway, once I finally said enough is enough and I logged out, I then got a little snack, a little lunch, which was some turkey meatloaf, and I thought it was a good time to check out the Devil May Cry anime, because it came out a couple days ago and I hadn't checked it out yet, and I'm a huge Devil May Cry fan. I've played every Devil May Cry game, and in fact some of the earliest videos on my channel here were Devil May Cry 4 gameplay videos. I love the franchise. I'm even one of those select few lunatics that really liked the DMC reboot. You know, that really cringe, edgy DMC reboot they made back in like 2012? I almost 100% of that game. I had a lot of fun with it. It wasn't as good as like Devil May Cry 3 or 4 in my opinion, but I still really liked the game. I thought the gameplay fucking slapped. So, I was pretty excited for the Devil May Cry anime. I had even watched the trailers on stream, and while it seemed kind of silly, like having Limp Bizkit roll in for its intro, it felt kind of on brand, and I thought it could be like a really enjoyable show. I hadn't really heard too much about it. I had a couple of people in chat telling me that it wasn't very good or it was mid, but I say hooey to that. I'll form my own opinion. So I plopped my swampy ass down on the couch, I put that motherfucker on, and man, I was not very impressed. It was just so disappointing. I haven't finished it yet. Full disclosure, I'm 4 or 5 episodes in. I can't remember. And I didn't like hate episode 1. Like I actually thought it was like kind of a fun start. And there's moments of really good animation, but my god, some of the CG scenes here, oh, it's like Berserk 2016 level. Like it should not have shipped in that state. Now overall, I feel like the animation was good. Like there were definitely some hype moments. Some of the fights were very cool. Thought I had to sneeze. Don't worry, that wasn't like a possession or anything. I thought there was a sneeze that was about to come out, but it went away. There was like some cool moments with the fights. The big problem with the show is the writing. The plot is serviceable. It's not good, it's nothing special, but I don't think it's horrible. But the writing around the characters, I think, is just so lackluster. Especially Lady. When she's introduced, and immediately she's just swearing like a sailor. Like, excessively. It's like when you're, you know, a kid and you first discover swear words, so you start spamming them. Like, that's how she talks. Like, a lot of times in the show, it feels like it's written by, like, some 16-year-old edgy Redditor. It's just kind of cringe pretty often. Now, Dante himself, I think, for the most part, is fine. Like, I don't think they've done an amazing job with Dante, but I don't think they've fucking ruined him either. It's very middle of the road for him. Now, what I will say is good, though, is the voice acting. I actually think the voice acting across the board is pretty good. Like, I appreciated that. It's just the writing is not good. Maybe in the next episodes it drastically improves somehow, but I'd be very surprised if it did. But I guess we'll see. All I can say is right now, I'm just pretty disappointed by it. Like, it's not horrible or anything. Like, I don't feel like I've wasted my time. It just feels like a letdown. And I think it feels even worse because it immediately followed me suffering through PoE 2 0.2. So I got the goddamn double fudge disappointment scoops here. And then after I finished Devil May Cry, I decided that's probably good enough for now. I'm gonna go take a shower. I hop in the shower only to realize I had no shampoo. So all I had was conditioner, which is why you might see a very big sheen on my hair right now, where it looks like my fucking hair is cell shaded. Because all I had was conditioner. So I gotta go get shampoo now. And who knows, with the way the day's going, maybe they won't have any shampoo left in all of Tampa. But I just had to talk about this a little bit because going from PoE 2 to Devil May Cry to no shampoo has just been like a disappointing stretch on the day. And I also felt like giving just like a little early review for PoE 2 and Devil May Cry. So that's really about it. So yeah.
Start making your dinner plans. This won't take long. Our shields are down, Commander.
Carl, we're on MSNBC to defend.
But this is the cycle we find ourselves in.
We watched this real quick. What's going on with what? I love Jon Stewart. I do. I think he's great. I know, obviously, a lot of people might disagree with him for whatever reason. I think he's great.
First law of Trumpodynamics. Every action is met with a very not equal overreaction.
That's right.
These pardons are sick. They are offensive. They are un-American.
This is one of the most egregious, despicable acts in American history.
This is textbook authoritarian takeover 101.
I knew I should have taken that class. And not majored in submissive liberal crying 101. Is it an abuse of pardon power? I don't know. Yeah. But that is his constitutional power. Again,
how are they going to cry about abuse of power whenever fucking Biden pardons his son blanket for 10 years? He's pardoning everybody. He's pardoning his whole family. You don't have any leg to stand on talking about abuse of power?
For some reason, we have given presidents the power of a king.
Yeah.
And then we say, oh, by the way, like, with that power, you're not going to get all, like, kingly and shit on us, right?
That's part-time host and occasional funny man Jon Stewart calling out Democrats in a
like as I imagine. But then we had a weekend. Serenity now. And we can finally catch our breath. Begin to move forward with intentionality. Namaste.
Friday Night Massacre.
Late Friday Night
There it is.
Purge. A chilling purge.
The Purge.
Ah! Trump has ushered in the purge!
It's crazy how he really calls out, because he's right about this, how they keep everybody on a, always on the up and up. Everybody, it's always this emotional dilation where, like, things are way more serious than they need to be. Way more serious. It's the Purge. Like, what? The Purge? Damn. Emotional fear. Yeah, there's no day off. You know who said it the right way? I'm gonna be honest. I was watching a Sam Hyde video, and Sam Hyde said that modern media was like just continuous shepherd's calls that just keep your attention and like your like fucking stress levels at an all-time high. And I think he really cooked with that. He did. Like, I remember thinking, like, when I watched it, I was like, damn, he's completely fucking right about that. Wow. Is fearmongering? Yeah. Watching Sam without us? Well, to be fair, I mean, there's a lot of videos that if I watched Sam with you guys, I wouldn't be watching anything with you guys after that. So, yeah, no, that probably would not happen.
I, for one, will take full advantage.
So, yeah.
Although, just in case I'm misinterpreting, what is this purge about exactly?
Breaking news, the mass firing of government agency watchdogs.
Trump fired at least 17 inspectors general.
No! He got rid of 17 inspectors general.
Oh, no.
That only leaves, no one knows how many left.
Probably a lot.
I have no idea. What Trump did violated the law. He can't just fire these people.
Title V, Section 403 of the U.S. Code, federal law, an inspector general may be removed by the president.
We didn't mean that law. What do you mean?
What? So what's the purge? What's the why do I have an axe?
There is a specific law that requires notice, 30 days, and a statement of reasons. Substantive and detailed rationale.
What? I'm sorry, what? Oh, apparently you can fire them, but you have to give them 30 days notice. Oh, so that's what we're upset about? No! You can do it, but not in that font!
This is the kind of shit, bro, like, this is the reason why people don't take this shit seriously anymore. It's because of this constant fucking emotional escalation, bro. It's so annoying. Nail on the head. Yes, he's so fun. He's so right, man. I feel like Jon Stewart, it's like with like political comedy, I feel like he's like Gandalf that came back into Two Towers, and it's like everything was turning to shit. Like you had Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien retired. You had fucking Stephen Colbert like turned into a massive bitch. To be fair, I think that who's that British guy that was on the Daily Show, John Oliver? I think he's all right. But like there's another one, Jimmy Kimmel. There's one more. It's so fucking annoying. What's his name? Jimmy Fallon.
How can I help?
And Jon Stewart comes back at the exact right time.
Armor's been breached.
I do. I think he's come back at the exact right time. Thank fucking God. Oliver lost it. I haven't seen any stuff from Oliver, but like I've seen a lot of things from him. I agree with. I feel like the saddest one to me personally is actually Stephen Colbert. I think Stephen Colbert is probably one of the. This isn't just because he's a big Lord of the Rings fan, but that's a big part of it. I really like Stephen Colbert, and I was so disappointed that like he took his show in the direction that he did. He was great. Now he's not that old, right? So he can come back. Hopefully one day he will. The Colbert Report was legendary. I know my dad and I, we would go. This is what we do. We go to Bill Miller Barbecue. So good. We go to KFC. We come home. We watch The Daily Show, and then we watch the Colbert Report right after that. Every Thursday.
Civilian research complete. More crystal is needed.
Hitler's font!
You know, just like Bill Maher, Stewart only seems to see the problems of big government when a member of the opposing party is holding office. I mean, kudos to him for acknowledging it, but the expansion of executive power has been something conservatives have been complaining about for decades. None of this should come as a surprise because it's no secret that Democrats have no impulse control.
The expansion of executive power, like Trump's going into the fucking like the old wizard rules, you know, some like illegal immigrant act of like fucking 1791 or something like that. Like he's going into the ancient magics in the old text. Like this shit was probably written in Latin, and he had to hire some guy to fucking decipher it. And it says that he can put people in Guantanamo Bay that he doesn't like.
And can't delay gratification. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that they've done something for short-term gain that later bit them in the butt when Republicans took power and wielded it against them.
Look, we are facing a deluge of these executive actions, and certainly we must be prepared for those most vulnerable to the consequences of these actions.
Yes.
But
Won't somebody think of the overpaid government employees that are making a six-figure salary for doing nothing, that are working remotely? Won't somebody think of them?
All fascists.
Won't somebody think about the illegal alien pedophile criminals that are living on government aid?
How can I be of service?
What about them?
Argument has become almost a reflex for the left.
Donald Trump promised to be a dictator on day one, and he's carried that forward through the entire week.
5 days into this administration, the abuse is already rampant.
On a fascism scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being peak fascism, how would you rate Trump's first week?
Peak fascism? I'm so sorry, guys, that people my age have begun taking positions in mainstream media. Like, the damage that millennials have done to the culture cannot be understated. This is, like, my generation is the most bitch-made, crying, annoying, unfunny, lazy, boring generation of people that I think we might have ever had. And they're pathetic, too. These are the people that, you know, somebody rings the doorbell, these people have to go lie in the bathtub like it's a fucking hurricane. I hate these fucking people, man. I had to go to school with them because they were my age. Bunch of fucking losers.
How can I be of service? Ahead slow. All hands.
Owning Funko Pops and they're fat.
Comlink active.
So stupid.
On a scale of Mussolini to the Holocaust. You know, I would say it's not fascism. Do I not understand what fascism is? Republicans
No, bro, fascism is whenever the government does something you don't like.
How can I be of service?
That's what happens. Yeah, fascism is when the government does something you don't like. Communism is when the government gives money to someone that you don't like. Nazis are when someone's not seeing your point of view. Let's see, what are the other ones? Fuck. Oh yeah, a threat to democracy is losing a vote. Fuck. What else we got? A dictator is whenever you do what's in your what's in the power of the presidency. Yeah, there we go. Socialism is whenever the government appropriates tax dollars to benefit the public. A racist is whenever somebody is a different race than you. Patriarchy, yeah.
This won't be so
Like, we can keep going. Patriarchy is whenever your dad didn't give you enough attention.
How can I be of service?
Control the House, the Senate, the executive, and the judiciary. And just about every move that has been made till this point, we have granted them electorally. It's our fault. And the constant drum, yeah, it's just our fault. And the constant drumbeat of encroaching fascism will erode the credibility we will need if, hopefully, if.
It's really funny that he's saying the same. No, I'm not going to say that I said this. I'm going to say it. See, I've been saying this so long, and see now he's saying it. See, this, I told you I like this guy a lot. He's right about fucking so much shit, man. But yeah, exactly. Stewart's been saying this forever. I know that. Honestly, I probably started saying this because I watched him as a kid, and he said it back then.
Times of war.
If and not when it hits. But the truth is that for now, his most objectionable actions have taken place almost entirely within our designed democratic system. There was no authoritarian end run, no royal edicts. This happened to us as designed.
I've got to admit that it is a little funny how the party that claimed to love and protect democracy can't seem to handle the system working as intended. I mean, it's just like Stewart pointed out. Despite all their hysterics about Trump being a threat to democracy, it was their beloved system that got him elected.
You want to know what the strongest argument against Democrats was? Is the supercut of Pete Hegseth listening to those 9 women screeching at him all at the same time. That was the strongest, like that to me. That to me was it. Show us. Yeah, it was amazing. Show it again. I'll see if I can find it.
Prepared to engage, but we might need some backup.
I don't know if I can find a video, guys. I really apologize.
Proceeding is ordered, but I don't like this.
The Unity calls.
This won't be so easy.
Fuck.
Prepared to engage, but we might need some backup.
Fuck. I can't find it. Oh my god. Where is it? Sorry.
Allowed him to wield so much power, which puts Democrats in a weird situation where they need to crap or get off the pot. Because at the end of the day, it's either Stewart is right and the system is healthy and working as intended, or it's so flawed and has been from its inception that its own mechanisms led to its inevitable downfall. Which raises the question of why use the system in the first place. And call me crazy, but I think based on everything they've been expressing, Democrats are going to lean towards choosing the latter. But let me know what you think. Which direction will the left move in the next 4 years? Will they drop the act and reluctantly accept that our system of government is fine? Or once and for all admit that they want to scrap the whole thing entirely? Let me know in the comments.
I mean, I think that didn't they? I don't know what this video is. Somebody just linked it to me. Like, I'm not sure about this guy. I don't know who this guy is. I'm gonna link y'all his channel. I just wanted to watch the Jon Stewart clips. But he like you know what they're gonna do. It's what they did with the remember that DNC chair convention where like they're like, okay, so we have to have like the women and non-binary and trans and then men and then like well black and then okay, so well if we have 7 people, what's half of 7? Is it 3? No, I think it's more than that. It's 4? Well, no, that's more than that. Okay, all right. So, but what if we have like 13? What's half of 13? Like, okay, all right, let's... How do the rules work again? Wait a minute. All right, guys, huddle up. Okay, so if we have 9 people, what's half of 9?
Could be risky with these passengers aboard.
Like, it's
ready for battle.
It was so fucking embarrassing to watch that. It was hilarious. Do you know about the PSN blackout? I did. I saw it. But yeah, no, I love Jon Stewart. I think he's great. It doesn't mean I agree with him about everything, but I sure definitely respect him on a lot of things. I do. And, man, really funny indeed. Yes, it is. And that woman that just goes up there and starts singing. She just goes and starts singing, man. Like, what are you doing? How do you do this? It's nuts. Peak Reddit moment. This is the thing I was going to look at.
Merrick Tominsky, the CEO of CIA.
This is, bro, this shit is embarrassing.
We're in a tough spot.
This is embarrassing. Like, Lords of the Fallen...
Comlink active.
Y'all just gotta see. This is sad.
James, the company behind Lords of the Fallen, has taken to X to let everyone know that the subreddit r/.
So Lords of the Fallen subreddit. I don't know if he's going to go into the background and details of this. Is he or not? Yeah, I think he probably will. But basically, the subreddit mods are having an active revolt against him because he's not woke.
Lords of the Fallen has been taken over by mods that are, let's be honest, heavily lefty lunatics that think that anyone that disagrees with their ideologies is a fascist. And I wish I was joking. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. This complete unhinged rant from a mod in the subreddit for the CEO's game has banned the CEO because the CEO, Merrick Dominski, dared ask the audience, the gamers themselves, what they wanted the games to have and not have in them.
That's right. The people that are running the subreddit banned the CEO from the subreddit about his own game.
We're in a tough spot. How can I help? Could be risky with these passengers aboard.
This is what you call a certified Reddit moment.
Military research complete.
What?
That's right.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how Merrick Dominski, the CEO of CI Games, has taken to X to let everybody know that the subreddit for his game r/Lords of the Fallen has been hijacked by the mods themselves, branding the CEO as a fascist for daring to ask the player base how he can make the games better and giving them polls to answer.
Basically, they had a poll about like whether you want to keep body type A and B or whether you want to go back to male and female. And big surprise to no one, the vast majority, like 90+% of people voted male and female. And so then they changed it back. Can Doge shut down Reddit? I don't know. You know what I bet? I bet there's probably money that's going to some of those people in Reddit. I mean, if we're spending money on like abortions in Uganda and shit like that, I bet we got to be paying at least a little bit of money to Reddit, right? Somehow.
And choosing things and going with the direction that the gamers wanted. It's really that simple and that crazy. Merrick Dominski, the CEO of CI Games, has just exposed how Reddit moderators have hijacked the Lords of the Fallen subreddit, branding him as a fascist simply for daring to listen to the players, asking for feedback on the game. Now, I've been following
Fascism is when you have a democracy.
for a little while now, and I've noticed on his X from time to time he will share some polls and asking questions for the players that are playing his game and how he can improve them and what the players want the game to have in it, what they don't, and let the democracy, the majority rule, and try to move forward with that. Which, I mean, hey, it's his game. He's welcome to do whatever the hell he wants. If he wants to ask the community for help, he can ask the community for help. If he wants to do it himself and say it's art, you can buy my game, he can do that too. I don't really see what the problem is here, but we're talking about Reddit mods here, and logic with them is a fleeting trait. Yet another demonstration of Reddit's rapidly
addressing the CEO of CI Games' politically motivated agenda. Direct links to X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are no longer permitted.
Growing lunatic left-wing authoritarianism.
Let's read some of this. The CEO of CI Games, Marek, I don't fucking know. This is probably Polish or something. I can't pronounce it. Is actively supporting and promoting fascist ideology under the guise of catering to the player base. And again, the fascist ideology was wanting attractive female characters and male and female instead of body type A and B. This is fascism nowadays, and as a moderation team, along with many gamers worldwide, we are deeply shocked and disgusted by the events of the past few weeks. Now, along with many gamers worldwide, well, that turned out to not be true, right? Because if it was many gamers worldwide that were shocked, then you wouldn't have had the votes go in the way that you didn't want them to go in, right? So it turns out that that's not really true.
Reddit's mods have now taken some seriously extreme measures to shut down any discussion that doesn't align directly with their ideological echo chamber.
In response, we've removed all CI Games and Hexworks officials from the moderation team. So, I just want you guys to understand what happened here. The people that... This is so fucking retarded. I have to say it again because I can't even believe it's real. The people that are running the subreddit for this video game have banned all of the people that make the video game because the people that made the video game ran a poll on Twitter that they disagreed with. That's right.
Civilian research complete.
Bubble worldview.
That's right.
Their latest meltdown was triggered when Kaminsky made a simple post on X asking if the community preferred traditional character options, something he posts about from time to time on his platform to gauge player interest. Choosing between male and female rather than the generic body type A and body type B was apparently a bridge too far for these Reddit mods, and unsurprisingly, the vast majority of players were obviously voting for the change back to male-female. But rather than accept the will of the player base, Reddit mods went absolutely nuclear and completely locked down the subreddit.
That's right. To fight fascism, to fight the popular vote not going the way that they wanted, they had to take executive action to remove the people who were the beneficiaries of that popular vote and instead enact their own will in place of the popular vote in order to combat fascism.
That's more like it.
Acknowledging that gamers want clearer and more traditional character options without any kind of DEI injected into the gaming experience, the mods of Lords of the Fallen immediately framed this as a far-right conspiracy. Because of course they did. It's the same old tried and true formula that hardcore lefty lunatics always do. They always try to brand people as a fascist, or someone that's a bigot, or a phobe of some type, just to try to cancel the person and try to get people on board with the hate mob campaign against them because they don't align with the ideologies of them. On r/Lords of the Fallen that is now under lockdown, they say, announcement. Addressing the CEO of CI.
Is it actually under a lockdown? Let me see. Lords of the Fallen. CEO responds. The entitlement on Reddit is astounding. 700 comments.
Active.
There's only one. I bet there's a lot of people that are getting their comments deleted and their posts deleted.
Can I do out?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
Let's see if we can scrape our way out of this.
Yep, big bans. Let's see, are there any comments about this? I don't get how being a mod of a sub-Discord and any social group grant people some unbearably power trippy. So they basically have to leave up one post because people are revolting so much about it. I'm not surprised.
Game's politically motivated agenda. Direct links to X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are no longer permitted. The CEO of CI Games, Marek Kaminsky, is actively supporting and promoting fascist ideology under the guise of catering to the player base. As a moderation team, along with many gamers worldwide, we are deeply shocked and disgusted by the events of the past few weeks.
Man.
And holy crap, does this not perfectly exemplify power going to the head of some loser in their basement as a Reddit mod and saying, I know what's best for the world, why doesn't everyone just listen to me? In response, we have removed all CI Games and Hexworks officials from the moderation team.
And I also don't understand the logic here. Our concerns are directed solely at the CEO. Well, if they're only at the CEO, then why did everybody get removed and not just him? This doesn't even make sense.
We want to make it clear that those removed are honorable and decent individuals. We have nothing but respect for them. Every interaction we've had with them since the game's launch has been nothing
unfortunately,
short of extraordinary.
Unfortunately, this decision affects the wrong people. I love the passive language in this. You mean this decision that you made?
Reporting in, and it doesn't look good.
They act like this is some kind of like just well, this is just what had to happen. No, it's not. You did this.
This shall be our finest hour.
Unfortunately, this decision affects the wrong people. Our concerns are directed solely at the CEO and, at this time,
we love
no
collective
one
punishment.
else. Which, I gotta be honest, just reading that part, it screams someone that is going completely batshit insane on a power trip trying to tell the world that they know what's best and they are wielding this Reddit power to the absolute extreme. And from a certain perspective, it's actually very comical.
It is
Over
funny.
the past several weeks and months, we have seen a significant increase in hate speech.
I wonder, I'm sure hate speech. What is hate speech? I wonder what their idea of hate speech is.
Conduct and violations of Reddit whenever content from these platforms is shared.
Reddit, bro, like.
Our shields are down, Commander.
Oh, God.
Reporting in.
That's hate speech right
We're
there.
underway.
That's fucking hate. You shouldn't be able to say that. You should not be able to say that shit.
Base at your disposal.
Additionally, we have experienced an influx of users spreading fascist views, both on the subreddit and via mod mail. Let us be clear, we do not tolerate any violations of our
I bet you don't.
behavioral rules, nor do we condone or support fascist ideology. Anyone engaging in such misconduct will face a permanent ban. You can find out our subreddit's rules here or in the sidebar. And from that, I gotta take a big step back and say, all right, I'll try to go along.
This is so dumb. It is.
Now, pushing fascist ideologies, and that's what the issue is. Why don't you provide examples? Why don't you say, hey, what he said here specifically is what we have an issue with, or this poll right here is what the problem is, and here's why. They can't do that because at the end of the day, they know the only problem is it goes against their own ideology, so they just start calling Merrick Dominski names. The mods didn't stop at just labeling the CEO as fascist because that would be way too simple. No, they took the drastic actions of locking down the entire subreddit and censoring any further discussion. It continues. What about screenshots from these platforms? After consideration, we have decided not to allow screenshots from these platforms, as
This shall be our finest hour.
verifying their
Civilian
authenticity
research complete.
is difficult.
Let's see
What's
if we can
next?
scrape
These
our
new
way out of
rules take
this.
effect immediately.
Can I do out?
Alternative to X,
Good day,
Twitter,
Commander.
Blue Sky is a great alternative.
How can I help? Aye. Weapons at the ready. Comlink active. Civilian research tier complete.
This is unbelievable. Of course it's Blue Sky. This is crazy. You know why they want to go to Blue Sky? It's because Blue Sky is like an endangered species reservation. You know how like there's only like 6 white rhinos because like all the male ones are, I don't know, they're like gay or something, and so they don't want to have more babies. And so like you have to protect them, and like you don't want anybody to come and hurt them. And there's like other animals that like there's like only a handful of them, so you like really try to protect them. But Blue Sky is like one of those reservations for these people where like they can be at Blue Sky and it's kind of like a zoo. And I mean, I guess like basically you can just like log on and like look at what they're saying. That's basically what it is. It is. It's a delicate species, exactly. And they're protected because anything that would come in and you know, hurt their ecosystem is removed.
With these passengers aboard.
And many users and outlets have already made the switch. You already know where this is going, where they're trying so hard
By
to
the way,
indoctrinate.
I just want to real quick, just in case anybody was getting it twisted. Yeah. This is even dead naming. These are people that are searching for Twitter and not X. Either way, the point is that Blue Sky is not going anywhere. Nobody's using Blue Sky. It's never happened. Like, it's not going to happen. It's very obviously not getting popular. Nobody's using this shit.
Easily done.
The only people that are using it are people that are butthurt about Twitter. Elon should buy it? Yeah, there you go.
Our shields are down, Commander. Comlink active.
That don't know any better to think that these other platforms are where the truth is, when in reality, anybody that's been paying attention to what's transpiring right now is noticing that all the lefty lunatics are migrating over to Blue Sky and creating their own echo chamber over there into some mess of a situation.
Well, the reason why they're over there is because their ideas can't survive in a free marketplace of ideas. And so they have to be in a safe space that protects those ideas from any type of criticism. Because if they aren't, then the ideas immediately die.
Nobody with any kind of logical common sense wants anything at all to do with it. If you have any suggestions for improving this process, feel free to share them in the comments or via mod mail. Additionally,
somebody says like Truth Social. There's nothing that's preventing. Do you get banned on Truth Social for expressing liberal viewpoints?
This won't take long. Reporting in.
No. Okay, so no. Okay, so it's not the same, and you're just drawing a false equivalency, so you can justify your level of retardation and say, well, they're retarded too. No, actually, they're not retarded. It's just you that's retarded.
If any moderators from other subreddits would like access to the auto-moderator scripts we've written, we are happy to share them. Simply contact us via mod mail. They want to use these scripts they've created and push this on other Reddit forums to push their own ideologies and create an echo chamber in other forums as well, which is just wild to me that they think this is something that's going to fly and people will be cool with. Which, spoiler alert, it's not. In fact, it's actually hysterical to look at some of the replies in the comment thread and how the mods are being called out by Redditors. You know you...
We're underway. You got the full weight of a star base at your disposal.
Oh God. Everybody's getting their shit deleted. There you go.
Good day,
wow.
Commander.
What a surprise. Up. If people on Reddit
adults?
are calling you out for being too over the top against people, this is actually hysterical. Banning all direct links on X, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, claiming these platforms enable fascism. They removed CEI Games and Hexworks officials from the mod team, despite admitting that they were honorable and decent individuals, declared an increase in hate speech while using the justification for stricter moderation.
This is so ridiculous.
Users towards Blue Sky, a left-wing alternative to Twitter, as the better platform. I swear, I couldn't make this up if I tried. It's beyond parody at this point, but at the same time, is anyone surprised? It's Reddit. They declared that Tominski was boosting anti-progressive and racist/transphobic posts by asking people what he wants in the games.
I never understood how this is transphobic. Like, last time I checked, if somebody is transsexual, they don't want to be referred to as body type B, they just want to be a woman. That's just, like, I don't even understand the logic. It doesn't even make sense.
Ready for battle.
Them of pushing a politically motivated agenda, and it's a classic tactic. They try to deplatform anybody who opposes their woke ideology.
Use logic? No.
This unhinged response wasn't just about simple in-game UI changes. It was directly attempting to control a narrative and gatekeep what opinions are allowed in what game spaces. Which, at the end of the day, with these people, they're all the same. It's not about gaming. It's not about making the games better. It's about power and control and ensuring that people.
I think he's completely right. He's totally right.
They probably weren't a big fan of Merrick Tominski saying that he's not going to be injecting any DEI elements in his games either. That definitely didn't go over well. The steps that they're taking here reflect a growing trend of many extremist Reddit mods weaponizing their online internet powers to silence any and all dissent.
Well, the problem is that, so this is the issue that Reddit has. It's that Reddit, you can't go against them, because if you make your own subreddit, they just get you banned. It's because the admins and the people that run Reddit are in agreement with this stuff. That's the problem.
That their motivation is ideological, saying people are feeling emboldened on the culture war stuff since Trump got in. The fact that they're still seething about Trump's influence years after the presidency started back when he first got elected tells me everything we need to know about their worldview. Rather than trying to moderate fairly, they've turned the Lords of the Fallen subreddit into a political minefield echo chamber. They claim to be protecting the community from misinformation and incitement of violence, but in reality, they're just banning any conversation that challenges their progressive orthodoxy. The real irony here, this is a so-called fascist CEO that was merely trying to follow the wishes of his own player base. I've had some personal DM conversations with Merrick over X for the past few months, and he's always struck me as
How come your subreddit's safe from this? Because we banned politics. That's the reason why. We banned politics because we know that there's a pretty big target on our back. And so that's why we migrated a lot of the political stuff over to Twitter. It's because, like, I'm not going to try to play an unfair game. I'm not going to try to push some, like, and try to push the line and break the rules. At the end of the day, Reddit has every right to moderate the way that they want to, even if I disagree with it. So I'm not going to try to go in opposition of them at all.
You failed.
Do you think Reddit devs are neutral or liberal preference? I think that
Yes, Commander, at once.
I think that they have liberal preference, and I think that advertisers do too. And advertisers are more sympathetic and more sensitive to liberal complaints than conservative ones. And because of that, it creates a feedback loop that removes conservative viewpoints from the platform. That's what I think happens.
Who's genuinely caring about the gaming scene
that's
and the
my
gamers
honest opinion.
themselves. He comes across as very sincere, and he's not trying to use people as some sort of Trojan horse to try to get additional sales. It explains exactly why his Reddit mod sees this as well, and now they see him as the enemy because he's a problem. The in-game changes aren't dictated from the top. It was voted on by tens of thousands of gamers, but according to these lunatic Reddit mods, democracy is only valid when it aligns with their own personal
Democracy is good when I win the vote.
worldview. Funny how that works. The entire situation highlights once again how Reddit has become an increasingly hostile place for any kind of free speech or open discussion. Moderators who are often
You shouldn't go to Reddit for that.
completely unhinged have zero problems with seizing control of communities and pushing their own personal agenda for the message. And hey, as long as it aligns with their ideologies, there are no problems with it. But once you start stepping out of line, they got to make sure they shut you down. So use this as a heads up if you're a player of Lords of the Fallen to be very aware of r/Lords of the Fallen. It is compromised, but then again, it's Reddit, and we already know the type of people that go there every day, and it's already an echo chamber. But hey, I just want to give a heads up about this happening in the first place. But I'd like to encourage everyone, if you haven't played this game, to check it out to see if it might be right for you, because overall it has had a great reception with the entire player base. I'm all about promoting any...
The game had a pretty bad launch, but it seems like they improved a lot of the issues. I haven't played it recently, so I'm not really sure. But like, my understanding is that they have really tried to improve a lot of the issues with the game. I haven't played it though, so I don't know. I have to look at recent reviews.
That are authentic to the gamers. And Merrick Kaminsky strikes me just as that. The subreddit itself has completely lost the plot and is no longer even about discussing the game itself. It's about enforcing leftist politics and attacking anyone who steps out of line. Kaminsky, on the other hand, has proven himself, to me at least, to be one of the few and rare game industry CEOs that's willing to stand up for us, the gamers. While the Reddit mods are out there ranting about fascism, the actual gamers are out here enjoying the game that respects their own preferences. As for Reddit, it's just another reminder of why its credibility is completely circling the drain. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out SmashJT.com for the full article. I will link it in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Yeah, and so anyway, there's a little bit more about this that we haven't gone to. And I'll link you guys the video again. I think this is a pretty good summary of what happened. But the guy even responded to this as well, too. So these Reddit mods are out of control. Well, the problem, again, is that people can't make oppositional subreddits and find other platforms that can replace them. And so that's the other really big issue that happens, is that those people are not able to, they're not able to, like, make any sort of opposition to it at all. Let me see if I can find his post and the guy that, yeah. So basically, this is his actual post about it, responding to a lot of the drama on, what do you call it? Responding to the drama on Reddit. He says, the everyone is a Nazi thing is really getting boring and out of touch. Truth always wins in the end. Trust is built through authenticity and transparency, not by shifting narratives, players first. So basically, as you can see here, this post has received 0 updates. So this has been a Reddit post to clarify developers on from the mod team. The irony is palpable. You're seriously culling moderators and censoring discussion because of a perceived political motivation. You don't realize that it's your own political agenda making you take these actions. It's just a game. It's not that deep, which is very true. But these people are absolutely fucking crazy. So yeah, there you go. People making drama over gay people. Yeah, I saw that. I already talked about the Kingdom Come. What's your stance on a paradox of tolerance? I think many of us on the left would rather not tolerate harmful speech and are more willing to trust a government censoring on it. I think that it's completely wrong, and it's just an idea that's invented by retards as an excuse to tell other people what they can't say. I think the fact is that the most powerful form of hate speech, which was the Nazi Germany, was defeated in the free marketplace of ideas as well as on the battlefield. The entire idea that you need to, you know, cancel people and not let people say this stuff is ridiculous. Every single example of this type of ideology, like KKK ideology, racial eugenics, everything, the reason why it's been beaten is because of open discussion. And it's just not true.
All hands, prepare for phase jump.
Wouldn't this be censorship? It is. This is just, it's a justification for censorship. It's an appeal to fear as a justification for censorship. I completely disagree with it, and I think that you would too. And here's the problem, right? Is that eventually power changes hands. And so if you want to look at, oh, the idea of tolerance, your idea of tolerance might be one thing, but when a super right-leaning person says their idea of tolerance is not letting anybody be trans because they're protecting kids, they're using the same fundamental logic that you are, based off of we're doing this thing to suppress people's expression under the justification of protecting other people. So unless you want that logic to be used against you in the future, then no, I would not support it at all. Blocking people from speaking is prime fascist behavior. Yeah, and that's just always how it's going to go. I'll be right back.
Commander, where do you need me? Ready for battle.
Right, calm down. Settle down. Settle down. Okay, where are we at? Let me see if I find this. Yeah, people are crying. People are pissed off about this. I might try and play this game again. We'll see what happens. I was going to, but I've just been busy playing other shit, right? Anyway, so yeah, this is it. Everybody is a Nazi who disagrees with me. Welcome to Twitter politics. Fucking retards, what do you expect?
Reporting in. Comlink active. Hold tight.
Apparently they've been doing these big raids. Big raids. Huge raids. And I'm kind of surprised about it. But apparently this has just been like really popular. Yeah, big raids.
We went to bodegas in Washington Heights, then came over here to the Bronx.
That's fucked up that they got Arizona tea at $3.50. Because y'all remember it used to say $1 right there on the package.
Heights, then came over here to the Bronx. Less money coming in, employees not showing up are some of the things that we heard. But for others, President Trump's immigration crackdown means bringing law and order
So with President Trump's immigration crackdowns underway, certain areas of town are a lot quieter than they used to be, with local store owners revealing a notable decrease in the amount of customers they're seeing, while saying some of their employees are scared they could be spotted by ICE and deported if they come to work. However,
that sounds like a really good place to start for looking at those employees and who they're hiring. And why are you hiring people without properly vetting them? And you know, you're hiring illegals under the table. I feel like, yeah, let's figure out these places that are afraid of having their, like, oh wow, our people won't come in because they're afraid of ICE. Why are they afraid of ICE? What is the reason for that? That's a great question. Probably paying them like shit. Yeah.
New York is not the only city in America where immigration activity is creating ghost towns, and it certainly might not be the last.
Promises made, promises kept, with President Trump taking immediate action on his top campaign focus, fighting illegal immigration. And as ICE closes in on migrants, once vibrant neighborhoods are now turning into...
In my opinion, I feel like they're not doing enough. Like, they gotta scale this up 2 or 3 times. Like, they're only, like, deporting, like, 1,000 people a day. That's not enough people.
Ghost towns.
Suslin Pichardo, who manages a Bronx bodega, says fewer undocumented workers are showing up for their shifts and significantly less foot traffic. She calls it the 2020.
They gotta start finding these companies that are willingly hiring people that are illegal. If you're knowingly hiring people that are illegal, or you're not properly vetting them, like, where's the accountability there? Because, like, in a way, like, I don't even really blame the illegals. Like, the reason why I don't blame them is because, like, yeah, of course you want to come to America. You're going to get paid more money, and it's better. Like, if I lived in some countries in South America are nice, some aren't, right? Let's say I live in one of the ones that's a shithole. I would want to come to America, absolutely. Fuck yeah. And so, but the reason why is because these companies will hire them. So these companies are really the ones that are creating the carrot. And so if you start holding these companies accountable, I feel like this would stop a lot faster.
Pandemic, but this time an immigration pandemic.
There's a lot of criminals. Now the streets is more safe. You can see, you can walk now.
Yeah, they be afraid. They be calling me and asking, Frank, are they gonna come to the store?
A lot of fear, says this man from Ecuador. It's the kind of fear humanitarians are pushing back on, especially those who wish to protect the sanctuary sentiment.
But the reality is 65% of Americans strongly support deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes.
No shit. Of course everybody supports it. That's the thing.
Owners are looking to hire employees, in this case documented employees, because they
only
need to
65%. I think actually that was just people that were in favor of mass deportations. Like that's what I at least read, but it could have been another thing. I don't know.
Keep moving the economy.
Yeah. ICE raids are pretty good.
So immigration crackdowns are causing mainstream political panic, with some suggesting they'll lead to a smoothie shortage. But what nobody in the open borders crowd wants you to remember is that 4 years ago...
I love how, like, people think that it's a good idea to, like, why don't we open the borders so we can get smoothies that are cheaper? Why don't we have open borders so we can have people that work for below the table wages so we can get cheap smoothies? Wow, that's a great argument. I love that.
The largest migration event in U.S. history, we had a reasonably well-functioning country, which was a lot safer. Because it wasn't a hiding place for gang members and dangerous individuals, the very people Homeland Security is now after, with mass raids taking place in sanctuary cities all across the country. But these raids are turning certain New York neighborhoods into ghost towns, with business owners and residents saying the streets feel much quieter. But that brings up some uncomfortable questions and possibilities, like where did people living in the country without the right to work,
where'd they go?
All of the money they were spending at these businesses? Were they earning money?
They were working there. And the businesses, in my opinion, I think in a lot of cases, willingly and intentionally hired illegal immigrants because it gave them a leg up in negotiation strength. You can now pay them less than average wages. They don't have the same rights as American workers, and you can treat them like second-class citizens. And that's why they're hiring these people. I feel like it's common sense. Like, if you were a ruthless business owner, wouldn't that be what you would do? If you're trying to get by? Of course it is. So I would assume that's what they would do too.
In a manner connected to the criminal underground by committing crimes, shoplifting, reselling stolen goods, or worse. And those businesses by complaining to the news that immigration raids have scared away their employees. They've just admitted to illegally hiring and employing people who can't legally work and may be in the country without permission.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the real reason why certain parts of New York are turning into ghost towns by allowing over 400,000 people to live in this city without permission to be in the U.S. An entire economic system has been created which is illegal and exploits everyone who's part of it. In fact, I spoke to one restaurant worker who said their boss was hiring newly arrived asylum seekers off the books for far below minimum wage so they could save.
There it is. Oh.
Good day, Commander.
What a surprise.
Easily done.
What a shock. Who could have guessed? Wow.
Hiring newly arrived asylum seekers off the books for far below minimum wage so they could save money. On top of that, if you walk down the streets of our working class neighborhoods, you'll see unlicensed street vendors all over the place, some of whom sell products that still have the price tags on them from the stores they were stolen from, which get
Strength of the coalition.
This is in New York City? How do you let this happen? What the fuck is the government doing over there? How do people let this go? The shamelessness. This is embarrassing.
Handed to them in suitcases by a group of men, making you wonder if some of the people spreading out items on blankets are there by choice or not. But as you're about to see, even though immigration raids are putting an end to an illegal system of exploitation, predatory businesses and immigration advocates are very upset about it.
I bet
for
they
some
are.
reason.
This is the kind of empathy that I was talking about that's like so harmful. It's like these are people that are advocating for like letting these people stay in here in like this exploitative relationship where they're stealing things from the stores and then reselling them on the street. Like these people basically think that it's more noble to turn the country into a third world country than to uphold our own laws. It's insane. Yeah, facts. Yeah, I feel like it's suicidal empathy. Well, the funny thing about it is that for a lot of these people, they never have to live with the consequences of their own empathy. So it's like they vote for these problems, but they don't even live in these places. So they're saying, oh yeah, no, you guys can deal with it. It's totally fine because we can vote for this and feel good about ourselves. So again, it's about them being able to feel like they made the right decision and they're doing the good thing. They're on the right side of history, guys. And that's what matters to them. Embarrassing.
So here we have your local bodegas, convenience stores, coffee shops, and restaurants. And in some parts of New York, businesses like these now complain that they've got staffing problems and customer problems at the exact same time.
I think that they should complain to ICE. And that way we can get a list. We get a list of everybody. So who all is complaining? Okay, let's go ahead and look over these books. Why are you complaining about this guy? Damn, what is the reason for that? What could it possibly be? Zach, empathy is bad? The problem with empathy is that a lot of times the people that perceive and that they say that they have empathy, they don't have empathy. They want to be seen as having empathy. And so what they do is they're trying to do what sounds like the right thing. There's not really a principle guiding like their behavior. There's more or less an approval guiding their behavior. So these are people who are looking for approval. They're looking to have the right opinions to the right people, and they work backwards from that. It's not like this is a principled stance that these people have in a lot of cases. They're just simply trying to have the right opinion to the right people. And that's why it makes it, that's what makes this empathy bad, is that it's actually not empathy. It's narcissism parading and masquerading as empathy. That's the difference.
Time. And they say it's because of a prevailing sense of fear in immigrant communities over recent Homeland Security activity. But if what these businesses say is true, and both the customers and employees at some of these places aren't supposed to be here, who exactly is benefiting from a system that is in violation of federal immigration law?
Well, the companies are benefiting. Those are the people who are fundamentally benefiting. And like the citizens, like it depends on how you look at it. Some of them benefit, some of them don't. But I think that the one group that you can guarantee is benefiting is the business owner and the capital owner, and the elite class is benefiting from having an underclass of people that they can control with less workers' rights. That is the one group that in absolute fucking certainty is catching a W from this.
Niggas in Washington Heights then came over here to the Bronx. Less money coming in, employees not showing up are some of the things that we heard. But for Johan Mencias, ICE raids are already making a positive impact in our neighborhoods.
I know there's a lot of good people too, and I feel bad for them, but it gotta be done. We gotta clean up. I got 2 daughters. I want my daughter.
Wow, so as it turns out, the residents of this neighborhood do not benefit from businesses who break the law and hire people who aren't supposed to be in the country. And they're saying
that's because the people that are benefiting and the people that are pushing for this kind of stuff are liberals that live in completely separate areas that don't have to deal with any of the fallout from this. That's the reason why. So, like, the people that are living there don't like it. It's the people that aren't living there. They have no connection to it, but they think that they have, like, some sort of cultural solidarity with some, like, random immigrant that came and is committing crime here. And it's actually, it's really kind of crazy, the psyop that, like, I think that the, like, elite business ruling class has played on a lot of the, like, liberals, that they've convinced the liberals that having a second-rate, second-class slave class or laborer class is actually the moral and ethical thing to do. Like, it's really kind of an impressive degree of manipulation.
their neighborhoods now feel a lot safer because of these recent immigration crackdowns. But even though residents seem to be happy now, local businesses that were hiring these folks are not. But the crazy thing about that is by hiring people who don't have a right to work and paying them less than fair wages, those workers are being exploited, and so is
there's a lot more that goes into it than less than fair wages. There's like workers' compensation. There's any sort of accountability if the workplace treats them badly. There are tons of other, like, if you take income out of the equation, there are tons of other, like, line items and levels of accountability that businesses have that are created by the government in the best interest of workers that these people can completely ignore.
Local neighborhood, which now has less jobs available for its residents. And how do we know that these businesses hiring people with no legal right to be in the country aren't holding that status over them, or using it to coerce them to come into work in the first place, possibly as leverage to get them to work in unsafe, unsanitary conditions, or do things they wouldn't otherwise? But there's
exactly, yeah, it's like come to work, or we call ICE on you. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, if you take out the emotional manipulation, the emotional blackmail, and the suicidal empathy out of this argument, and you just look at it logically, there's no perspective that you can have on this that it's not completely retarded.
The problem, because in New York you've got over 400,000 people who don't have a legal right to remain in America. Yet, because this is a sanctuary city, they're allowed to do that, but they've got to get by somehow. They've got to work, they've got to buy food, clothing, provide for themselves. And they can only do this if groups are willing to help them break the law, and some of those groups are gangs. And one of these gangs, this Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, they've had a bunch of high-profile members taken down recently. But this is a gang that made its way to New York during the asylum crisis, where it's been growing its criminal reach by exploiting people who may have entered the country but can't live or work here in a legal manner, and now find themselves needing the help of criminals to get things like fake IDs or fake working papers, which they could be using to trick.
And then this is, again, it creates more of an ecosystem of crime. And then this ecosystem of crime becomes more oppressive and more powerful and more, what do you call it? Like more toxic to a community as it grows, because it becomes more powerful.
Legitimate businesses into hiring them, revealing that even if companies don't knowingly hire people who aren't supposed to be here, they could still be forced to shut down if they do, which apparently might happen to some small businesses in certain parts of New York.
There's a lot of criminals. Now the streets are more safe. You can see, you can walk.
Suslin Pichardo, who manages a Bronx bodega, says fewer undocumented workers are showing up for their shifts, and
Item complete, Commander.
How is ICE not immediately going to this person and holding them criminally responsible for fucking hiring illegals knowing that they're illegals. They're busy. That's phase 2. I just like, and I really want to emphasize this point a lot, is that I blame the companies and the business owners 100 times more than I blame the illegal immigrants. Like, the illegal immigrants, I get it, right? I get it. But these companies, they are the fucking roaches. They are the real ones that are benefiting from this.
Significantly less foot traffic. She calls it the 2025 pandemic.
They're taking advantage of people? Yeah, they are.
An immigration pandemic.
So the manager of this one bodega in the Bronx says that this crackdown has turned New York City into what it was in 2020 when the streets were completely empty and desolate.
Jesus.
That's quite a statement. But it also reveals that most of the business at her store was due to illegal activity, both on the part of the employees and the customers. And it also means that her store might not be able to stay open if that illegal activity disappears. Now look, I'm a business owner.
I love how this argument is. Well, my business can't survive unless we have illegal activity, so we just have to ignore the law so my business can survive.
Civilian research
Myself, and a store shutting down is
Imagine
never
that.
something anybody should be excited about. But if you've got a business and all of the people working there,
I would I would disagree with that. I think that if your business can exist inside of the legal framework of like respecting workers and not breaking the law, then I absolutely would celebrate you getting shut down. Because when you can't operate inside of that legal framework, it's because you're taking advantage of people and you are doing things that are unethical and in some cases, at least what even I would argue, are immoral. Like, that's a W. Because this is effectively an oppressive and subversive mechanism in society that has now been removed.
supposed to be in the country, and neither are the customers. Who exactly is benefiting from that business other than the owners?
Yeah.
And how are all of these customers who don't have legal work authorization able to afford the things in the store? They had to have been getting their money from somewhere, and these places are tiny. They can't employ 400,000 people, which means some of the business these stores were getting is related to criminal activity in other parts of the city. And there's no way around that. If somebody does not have legal work permission, the only way to get a job is to do it in an illegal way. And in some cases, that involves more than just working off the books. It involves shoplifting, which is a big problem in New York because retail theft has been decriminalized, and there are markets all over town where people were just...
How do you do this? Retail theft is decriminalized. Not to completely disagree with you, but in New York, you have to operate like this to have a small profit margin. I'm not saying that is, but that might be. I think that if your business can't operate while following the law, then your business shouldn't exist.
Military research complete.
It's just that simple. Like that's yeah, obviously, right? I mean, like if you can't make an honest buck, then your business fails. That's the way it goes. That's the free market.
Reselling stuff on the sides of the street. On top of that, you've got restaurants full of health code violations renting themselves out to people to just use. And apparently you've got people making food and selling it all over town, totally under the radar of the health department. And the restaurant in question here
How is this like this? That's like India. Like, how could anybody support this at all? It's unbelievable that people can support this.
Not have a satisfactory inspection grade like this place does. In fact, soon after this article came out, it ended up getting shut down, which means people eating that food could have gotten sick. And if people are buying food prepared in an unsafe, unlicensed restaurant, that just hurts legitimate businesses like this.
This is what I was saying, dude. This is narcissism disguised as empathy. These people are not empathetic at all. And I think that actually some of them maybe are, but they're so stupid they can't understand like the second and third order effects of what their actions are causing.
While making the streets of these neighborhoods much less safe.
We are victims of those criminals. Fernando Mateo says President Trump is making bodegas safer by dealing with the criminal
You're
justice.
generalizing most people don't support this? Enough people support this that it's the status quo in the state. So you're right that a lot of people don't support it, but enough people support it that it continues to happen.
System has failed to do.
Now, if you've committed a crime, I recommend, other than enter the country illegally, that you look for another place to work. Because
Imagine
if they
that.
come looking for you.
So this guy right here, he's the president of the United Bodega Workers of America, and every time something happens in New York that's controversial involving a bodega, he's there to stick up for these people every time they get robbed, every time they get raided, every time criminals enter their stores and assault workers. And he says the stores he represents are victims of crime committed by people who aren't supposed to be here. And that's the problem that sanctuary cities have. They're okay with criminal activity as long as it's federal, but they don't seem to understand that by allowing one type of crime, they expose themselves to other types as well. And residents of the Bronx
because if you can't be a citizen, you have to resort to doing other things that are illegal too.
We are vigilant.
That's the problem.
The item is ready.
And it's like a parallel to this that's like not exact, but it's similar.
In the Unity's
so like
name.
whenever you're like a convicted felon and you get out of jail, you have such a massive like red flag on your resume that it's so hard for you to get a job that you end up probably committing more crimes again, because now you're at this massive disadvantage and you end up doing it the same way, or housing, or finding a place to live. So these people, because they're not able to go through the normal channels, what ends up happening is that they turn to other additional criminal means. And really, I mean, again, they're trying to survive. It's easy to understand why they would do this.
Washington Heights can attest to this. They're out there saying that their streets were dangerous, all because illegal activity allowed and empowered a criminal element to dig in its heels and take over. And empowering criminals hurts the law-abiding in ways that are less obvious but are very real for the people affected by them. And if jobs are being given away to people so businesses can break the law and save money, that's something we need to talk about, because it means that these businesses are taking job opportunities away from people who have to obtain them in a by-the-books manner.
Yeah, and this is not like, I mean, people make the argument where it's like, oh, these people are like picking strawberries, and so nobody wants to pick strawberries. Okay, sure, you can say that, but these are people that are working at like a gas station. Like, you really can't find an American citizen that'll work at a gas station? I mean, give me a fucking break.
Bodega owners are looking to hire employees, in this case documented employees,
Bullshit.
because they
Of course
need
it's
to
bullshit.
keep
Absolutely
moving the
it's bullshit.
In the Bronx, I'm Eliezer Marte.
Huh, so look at that. These businesses, now that their employees won't come to work, they've decided that they're going to obey the law and hire people who are on the books, which is going to be good news for people who need their first job and can't get it. And while the immigration activist crowd is out there protesting these raids as being cruel and unnecessary, these very same activists never protested businesses who exploited their workers at the expense of the law-abiding, who they...
That's what I really find to be odd, is that all these people advocate for these undocumented workers, but they don't advocate for holding the businesses accountable for treating them and exploiting them badly.
Wouldn't hire. However, the open borders crowd is very upset about this, and they've got no intention of staying quiet about it, even though it benefits the very people trying to...
If it's the business owner's fault, why are you facilitating dehumanizing immigrants? You're totally wrong. I'm wrong about dehumanizing them? Well, of course they're people.
Commander.
I mean, yeah, I don't really see, like, when somebody commits a crime and they do something that they're not supposed to do, is holding them accountable for that dehumanizing them? Like, I don't understand the logic there. These are criminals. They're not supposed to be here. They're, in often cases, committing additional crimes in order to exist here without being detected. And they're working at these jobs that they shouldn't be at in the beginning. Like, how do you, in any logical perspective, come out on their side? Dehumanizing, yeah, like, it's emotional language. It's emotional language, and I'm sure it works with some people, but I don't think that average people give a shit about that anymore.
In America, immigrants who they claim they're advocating for.
We don't? Yeah, it's so annoying.
So as a sanctuary city, New York is in a very strange place. Yes, these ICE raids are getting dangerous individuals, criminals, gang members off our streets. But you've got an entire group of people here who are very proud of New York's sanctuary city status, probably because they don't understand how much harm it's doing, but nonetheless, these
It's
are
because they never have to live with the effects of it. That's the reason why. It's not because they don't understand it, it's because they don't have to.
people who are
That's the
very
reason.
upset that any of this activity here is taking place, and they want it to stop.
Deportations undermine city families, they undermine city communities, and they undermine public safety. And so what our laws say is that the city is going to divorce itself from what it sees as misguided federal immigration enforcement efforts.
So this sounds like a...
You don't have to tell us twice.
Sounds like a good place to start if you're going to look like people that aren't going to cooperate with the federal government. I mean, like, that's just not the way it works. Yeah, yeah, it's nuts. Undermine the American people? Yeah.
Professor on the news describing this viewpoint of sanctuary city protections. Maybe he holds it himself, maybe he doesn't, but the fact of the matter is, it's the working class neighborhoods that are experiencing most of the crime related to all of what we're talking about today. And none of the gang activity plaguing the Bronx or Washington Heights is present in places like Cobble Hill or the West Village. And these raids and crackdowns are something that people who live in these neighborhoods are very happy about.
And I love how it's racist to deport illegals, as if everybody who's brown is an illegal, or everybody who's Latino or Hispanic is illegal. Like, how can you say that and not be obviously fucking racist?
While activists are out there talking about how terrible these raids are, none of the people who live in these neighborhoods are listening to them. And some of the people taken down in these raids are extremely dangerous. They've been caught trying to buy military-grade assault weapons.
Wow.
And this gang activity is certainly not a mystery to New York's leaders. They know that a lot of gang-related activity is taking place in shelters like the Randall's Island facility that is in the process of being shut down. You'll find wanted posters outside,
Big
and
shocker.
the city knows there are gang members living in these places, taking them over, co-opting them. But because this is a sanctuary city with a right to shelter, the city has plans right now to open a new 2,200 person shelter in the Bronx, while all of this immigration related activity is taking place in that very same neighborhood.
All these immigrants that we're speaking about tonight have been properly screened.
Tough questions from Mayor Eric Adams' staff here at this contentious Bronx Community Board 1 meeting. I'm living this. I'm seeing this. Things got worse when the mayor's chief of staff revealed the decision to open a 2,200 bed.
So I can answer the first question. It's a no.
2,200 people?
Nobody gets screened at all. The city's not doing background checks before it moves people into its shelters. That's how you've got gang members living down the hall in some cases from families with little kids. And since we're a sanctuary city with a right to shelter, that automatically means that nobody can be denied that right regardless of past or current criminal activity. That's how these dangerous gangs were able to make their way into these shelters in the first place. Nobody checked to see if they were...
I think the federal government needs to come in and, like, these people that aren't cooperating with them, like, need to just, like, fucking arrest them or something. Straight up. Like, I mean, you can't just, like, actively defy and, like, not enforce federal law. It's insane. Like, hold up, what? Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, what is this? That's wild? No, it's not. Absolutely, that's not crazy at all. These are people who, their responsibility is to uphold the law. They're part of the United States. This is the United States of America. It's a federal law. You don't just get to ignore the law if you disagree with it. Yeah, we already fought an entire war over this once. I mean, we don't need to do it again. Just get rid of these people.
That's more
thugs. And after this place opens, because this is a sanctuary city, the police will not be allowed inside it to keep it safe and make sure there aren't gang members operating openly with weapons. But by advocating for
I do think that there's a greater problem at play here, which is that there is a huge contingency of people who agree with this thinking. And that's really what the problem is. And I think that you need to have, like, the way to stop those people from thinking that is to really emphasize the amount of bad behavior and the amount of bad things that allowing these people into the country facilitates. And I think that's really where the weakness is. It's because that hasn't been focused on, and it's instead been a lot of emotional advocacy and emotional blackmail towards justifying them being here. Bleeding heart lefties? Well, yeah, but, like, see, the best way to combat emotional manipulation is with emotional manipulation. Because you can't reason a person out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. So the best way that you need to approach people that are like this is to, like, approach directly the the people that are hurt from this approach it from an emotional perspective, approach it from a manipulative perspective. That's what's actually going to cause those people to change their mind.
Halt to any immigration crackdowns in New York, these advocates fail to realize that they're advocating against
federal law supersedes municipal law. Municipal government doesn't have to enforce federal law. It's the only thing that they can't do is enforce laws that contradict federal laws. Oh, well, I mean, well, sure, right? I mean, if I don't want to see people sent to jail if they're not actually committing a crime, but like if they're actually defying or trying to like subvert or stop the federal government, then that's totally different, right? But the difference here to me is that I think the big problem is that people believe this enough to push it. It's kind of what I was saying before about like J.D. Vance, is that yes, well, I think that the people that are like actively aiding and abetting this should be criminally prosecuted. Of course this is true. But the other thing that's true is that it's the marketplace of ideas and the fact that this idea is so prevalent. Why is this idea so prevalent? And I think the reason why it's so prevalent is because people have refused to play the game that these people listen to, which is emotion. And if you play that game, you can beat them at that game, because I think that there is no moral high ground to allowing these people to live here. Absolutely not.
Protecting people who do have a valid reason to be here. Some of the asylum seekers in these shelters do have valid claims, but by allowing gang members and criminals to live next to them, everyone's in danger. And now things are so bad, criminal activity is spilling out of these shelters into our neighborhoods, with gang members committing crime all over town and exploiting people.
Not supposed to be here? No, you're missing my point. You're right that they're not supposed to be here, but that's not a good argument to get certain people on your side. What I'm saying is that you have to approach it from multiple perspectives. And one of the perspectives that you should approach it from is, how can I get these people to agree with me? How can I get these people to do what I want them to do? And so sometimes you have to speak a person's language, and they might not think the same way that you do. Now, of course, you're right, and I think that the way that you're thinking should always supersede what they're thinking, because it's logical and not emotional. But that doesn't stop the underlying problem that a lot of people believe this. And that's my point.
Shelters into our neighborhoods, with gang members committing crime all over town and exploiting people. On top of that, New York does not have unlimited shelter space, which means that some of these facilities are housing gang members, while people who could be legitimate asylum seekers are out sleeping in tents on the street somewhere.
A lot of fear, says this man from Ecuador. It's the kind of fear humanitarians are pushing back on, especially those who wish to protect the sanctuary sentiment.
We've been dealing with hysteria of mass deportation of people feeling that any local law enforcement...
So this guy from Ecuador who partially showed his face on the news, is he here legally? Because if he is, he's got nothing to worry about. But if he thinks he's not here legally, he probably isn't, and he could be at risk for getting deported. But even though we've got advocates that are scaring people with this thought of mass deportations, when Trump took office, ICE only had around 6,000 agents who could even act in a deportation capacity. The resources simply are not there to deport millions of people from America. And even though ICE is now allowed to enter sensitive areas like schools, hospitals, churches, that's not what's happening. Federal agents are not camped up outside of an elementary school. Instead, the reason ghost towns are popping up in this city is because of targeted removals of people who are dangerous and also have orders of removal from this country, and are here profiting at the expense of the law-abiding. What do you think about that? Are these raids in New York City having a positive effect on neighborhoods that were previously taken over by criminals? Are people in the country unlawfully forced to subject...
People can't break out of the psyop? I actually think that it's incredibly easy to manipulate people. It's incredibly easy. All you have to do is know what their levers are. As soon as you know how you can, like, there are different ways to appeal to different people. And once you understand how to appeal to a certain group of people, then you can apply that in mass. But the same strategies can't be used for the same people. It's easy to emotionally manipulate. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it is. And so do you just do that instead?
Themselves to the criminal underworld in some fashion to get by? And does that empower and embolden people who put all of us in danger? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
I like this guy's videos a lot, and I really do feel like it is crazy how many people think that it's anything more than a complete manipulation play. Strike an emotional chord. They have nothing but putty. A third. Yeah, exactly, right? And they just arrested a Salvadoran hitman. Did you see? No, I didn't see that. I'll look at it in a minute. I think facts don't care about feelings, but feelings must be targeted. Yeah, they will be. And I think that facts generally win out over feelings all the time. But in the same way that facts may win out over feelings, there's also the component of feelings still being important. Because I think that it's better for you to, if you can, it's better for you to win the hearts and the minds of the people as well. Like, it's great to have a victory, but it's even better to have a moral victory. So if you can do that, and I do think that this is a situation that you can have a moral victory over. So it's better to focus on that than focus on just the books and only that. So yeah.
Where do you need me?
To hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Not an object? No, it's a thing. Yeah, I mean, that's what the dictionary says, right? And so, I don't know what else to say.
Item complete, Commander.
A viable alternative to get things like prescription medication or everyday basic items. Many of these businesses were already struggling for a variety of reasons, and as retail theft continues to creep up, it erodes whatever was left in the store's margins, leaving them no choice but to shut down. Something Walgreens alone did 22 times last year, leaving it with just 189 locations left in New York.
I love
However,
how the
as you're
only
about
thing
to
that's
see,
left
retail
is
theft
water.
isn't just a problem.
Like, if you go back and you look at it, like, it's just water. People stole all the sodas. Maybe people don't like cranberry juice that much. Yeah, Walgreens is on lockdown, boys.
For pharmacies that end up closing, it also raises the cost of living for every New Yorker, even those who already buy everything online from places like Amazon, revealing that as criminals loot and destroy these businesses, they're actually destroying New York City itself.
People try to make the distinction between how violence is defined in the eyes of the law and not the eyes of the dictionary. That may be different. They are interpreting what that means themselves. They are the ones that are inventing what the law says. You can't make an argument to authority when you're the one that's the authority.
How can I be of service?
So New York City has obviously got a lot of former retail storefronts that have been shut down. But if you want to see what out-of-control retail theft is really doing to the city, take a look at the stores that are still open. Like this one, where pretty much everything is locked up behind plexiglass, except for low-demand products nobody's buying right now in New York, like sunscreen. Look at this. Even the picture of the product that is here, see.
Damn, we are this far? So they don't even have it locked up. They have a printing. Oh my God. I've never seen something this fucking ratchet before. This is amazing. Not only is it locked up, but it's only a picture of it that's locked up. Wow. Yeah, it's an NFT, yeah.
Don't steal the actual product. Right. Even it's locked up, so you don't steal the picture. But on top of all this in-store security, you'll also see something else, a blinking camera array on top of this CVS with flashing lights meant to scare criminals into thinking the police could be inside, or at least watching. But sadly, none of this security is having the intended effect because our stores are still shutting down.
It's terrible going on.
Rafael and Sean Martez have been getting their prescriptions filled at this Walgreens for at least a year. They believe shoplifting played a role in the store's closure.
I have seen it happen right in front of my face. This man just came in, grabbed a whole bunch of makeup stuff that was on the side, and just ran out. Security.
So, as you can tell from all this security plastic, these places are getting robbed constantly, sometimes right in front of paying customers. And look at all the cracks around this product locker here on this tile. It's almost as if somebody...
I mean, you're not going to try to fucking go and fight somebody over this. Like, I mean, if I was at a store and I saw somebody stealing something, if I could, I would maybe report them, but I sure as hell wouldn't try to stop them. I sure as hell would not. Like, absolutely, I don't want to deal with that. That's not my problem. I don't work there. Fuck that. Shoot them? Nah, you can't shoot people like that. I mean, maybe the store can, but yeah, that's it.
We're falling apart here.
tried to tamper with this and break through it to get at the products underneath. And before we get into the unstoppable proportions this crime wave has now reached, look at who the real victims are from all this stealing. Now, of course, the store itself is a victim of crime, obviously, but the people who live near a place like this, they're the ones that suffer the most, because after a store like this is gone, where do they go to get the things they need and have relied on buying from it on a weekly basis?
Apparently
and
not
what
there.
about the people that work at a place like this? Once it's gone, where are they going to work?
This is one of the big issues that I think a lot of people have. It's, yeah, he's like, where the fuck is, yeah, not there. And I think that there's another big issue is that a lot of people, they try to play this off as it's like kind of, oh, well, it's because people that are minorities get, you know, like get targeted by this more often. I think in poor areas, like, you're going to have more theft. I think that just makes sense. And if there's more minorities there, then yeah, that would be true. But when you have more theft and you don't have it, like, controlled, it hurts all of those people. Like, those are, like, the entire minority group that those thieves are a part of are all negatively affected by it. And it's kind of like what I was saying before about how it's like performative empathy, where it's like, oh, well, we're trying to help, you know, these minorities, and we don't want to have them be unfairly targeted by police. But what I don't think that they realize is that by not giving these people in these communities the ability to, like, control their own, like, their own stores, they have the stores leave, people lose jobs, and it just gets worse for everybody. Is it unfair? I think that there's definitely cases where police officers are racist and interactions happen with a person that is non-white or a white person. It could be a racist black officer towards a white person too. But like, I think I'm sure it happens, but it's not like you can't base everything off of that. These people care about their own community. They care about the effects. Well, what a lot of it is, I think, is that these people don't care about many of the people that are the biggest proponents of allowing people to steal things out of stores don't live in places where people are stealing things out of stores, unless they're the ones that are doing the stealing. So in a lot of cases, what happens is that it's these, you know, in general, like ivory tower, upper middle class, gated community people that are trying to dictate to these lower working class people that no, it's actually good that you can steal things out of stores without realizing the second order effects of what that stealing causes. And that's what I was saying before about like the selfish altruism or like performative empathy, and about how doing it in order to make yourself feel good or sound good ends up hurting other people.
Civilian research complete.
Oh yes, every time a store like this shuts down over crime, the brand always says that they'll do everything they can to redeploy their workforce to other locations.
Of course they will.
But that just hurts everybody, because now the people who work at those other locations are going to have less hours because there's now a surplus of workers.
Yeah.
If the workers that were at a store that closed can even...
And it's also like if you're a worker there, so like if you assume that, like let's just use a little bit of logic here, right? I mean, for like, who's ever done logistics for a company or for an organization or for anything before? Let's say you have 6 workers. Each worker is allocated to be active 80% of the time or 90% of the time.
The item is ready.
If you are working at capacity, because it's logical that you would not overhire, you would probably want to have the closest percentage of employees to work as possible, right? That's why, for example, Taco Bell doesn't hire as many people to be working at 3 a.m. versus 3 p.m., just as a random example. And so now what this does too is it makes it to where the employees are now getting stretched even thinner because they've already got 2 jobs that they have to do, right? They have to maybe maintain a store area, and they have to also check people out. Like this happens at Walmart. How many of you guys have been at Walmart and there's one person working the electronics section, and you have to wait for this person to talk to 2 other people to ring somebody up, and then they have to go and unlock the thing out of the jewel case, right? All the time. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, what does that cause? That means that that worker doesn't have as much time to rest. It's more strenuous on them, and it's more difficult for the workers in general. Yeah, dude's busy as hell. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't even have, like, a moment or two to rest, because you guys know, like, I don't know. I mean, I've only had like really 2 jobs my whole life that are like like streaming, but most jobs, like, you're not working 8 hours straight. You're working for like maybe 10 minutes, and then you stop and you like recalibrate, and then you do something else for 10 minutes, and then you do something else, right? There's going to be like intermissionary periods. The fact is that now, not really. I think so. I mean, yeah, of course, right? It's like, for example, like you finish a task, and then you have to submit your task, and then you have to go get the next task, logically, right? And so all the time that happens, you're going to have transit time with anything. It's travel time, effectively. And no clue on this one? No, I think so. Not anymore. They min-maxed it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that guys, I'm sure that there's some jobs this isn't the case for. But I think in a lot of cases, it's very regular to have small intermissionary periods while you're working of maybe a couple of minutes until you do the next task. And what I'm saying is that situations and systems like this remove those intermissionary periods, or they make them smaller, and that way people don't have as much time. Social services? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's gonna be downtime.
Get to whatever location they've been redeployed to. But even if the workers can get to the new...
True as fuck. Yeah, of course, right? I mean, yeah. And also, like, logically, you would have to have downtime, because almost no work is completely synchronously the exact same performance the entire time. So you're going to have ups and downs, right? And so what I'm saying is that these downs, there's a lot less of them if you have to do all these other activities.
Location, so can the criminals. In fact, they ride around on the subway here for free because we don't care about fare evasion either. And that's the real problem here, because if customers need a new store to shop at and workers need a new store to work at, criminals, they're going to need a new store to steal from, and everybody's going to end up at whatever store is still hanging on. And
that's
hanging on is definitely the best way to describe it after one Upper East Side pharmacy closed.
People do not like lawn chairs, apparently. Yeah, there you go.
Surviving location said that they were getting robbed once an hour. And as you're about to see, closing stores is not going to put a stop to New York City's theft problems at all. In fact, it's only going to make it worse.
Another guy, while he was chasing him, stole candy.
It's like nothing is being done.
So do you feel like it's getting bolder?
Yeah, it definitely is getting bolder.
Walgreens said only economic headwinds are making it too difficult to cover.
So the reason it seems like theft is getting more out of control and thieves are getting bolder and more brazen is because they have to. You've got the same number of criminals, but now you've got fewer stores to steal from. Like this CVS right here, its theft problems definitely got worse after the Walgreens, which was across the street, shut down. When that happened,
this is like what happens when I remember people tell me this. It's like when I go offline,
that's more like
the roaches scatter. And like people will be like, yeah, so like I started getting a lot of sexist. Why do they keep telling me stop talking? Why is this dishwasher talking? Why are they saying this? Oh, Asman went offline.
Yes, Commander, at once.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And any crime that was taking place split between the two stores now all has to happen at just one store. And you can tell from the lack of rust and dings in the paint on these cabinets that many of them are a recent installation here. And not only are many of these aisles completely walled off on both sides, you've also got that blinking security camera. The store's literally doing everything it can to deter crime. And that's because any surviving store is under more pressure now than it's ever been. And there's no way out from any of this.
Well, it's like if there's 100 thieves in 100 stores, people are probably going to steal from one store, right? Not everybody's going to steal everything from the same store, because then you're going to run out of stuff. Like if you were stealing and everybody was stealing out of the same McDonald's or the same Walgreens, and you keep showing up with your bag and then all the expensive stuff is gone, you're going to say, fuck this, I want to go to the other Walgreens. Right? Let's be honest, right? I mean, yeah, you're going to go to the other Walgreens, like, fuck that. And so, but if there's only 10 Walgreens, you got to deal with 10 thieves in each one. The DoorDash table gets raided a lot. Bro, if you are down bad so much, you have to be raiding the DoorDash table. Like...
You got the full weight of a star base at your disposal.
I work in loss prevention, and the high shrink loss stores will intentionally overstock to keep a product available for customers. they surplus those stores not only to keep them in stock, but also to pad numbers. Good, well I need to start stealing peppered beef jerky then. Because I go to the store and they have every kind except for the kind I want. And I'm tired of it, man. It's pissing me off.
Comlink active. Easily done.
Unless, of course, laws were to be passed that made crime again. But since that's not happening, every single thing you see here are the last moves of a store that probably won't be here for.
You gotta remember Listerine. Well, we played that game, right? The mouthwashing game.
Civilian research complete.
It's bad. It's real bad.
Forever. The real problem is all this product security. It doesn't just deter thieves, it also deters customers.
These plexiglass screens and all these other inconveniences that are added to customers who are simply there to make a purchase creates additional friction, and friction is the death of retail.
He's completely fucking right.
The item is ready.
Absolutely. Perfectly stated.
Said in a statement,
friction is the death of retail. He's 100% right, and if it takes longer to buy things in a physical store, less people are going to put up with that. But it's not just the inconvenience factor that's a big deal here. All this security costs money. It's not free, because every time somebody wants to buy something, they need a human to help them get it, and that costs money. And that money...
Well, see, this is... A lot of people don't understand, like, allocation of time and like time management skills and optimization of those skills. So every employee's output is going to be min-max to the highest percentage that the company can realistically put it at, right? That's what you guys are saying, obviously. So this now is like, let's say an employee is operating at 95% efficiency. If this increases the amount of work they have to do by 10%,
an auction.
Now they're over efficiency, and now a new employee has to be hired, or the quality of service goes down. So it actually makes everything cost more money.
You fail.
And like this is one thing that like, so.
Item complete, Commander.
All right. This is good. This is the WoW analogy. One thing that I would fucking hate about gold guides, I would hate this so much. There would be two things I hated. Number one, gold guides that were made with no context of supply and demand. Number one. Number two, or with price and demand, wherever you want to look at it, depending on the product, right, or the item. Another thing is that gold guides that do not take into account travel time, transit time, reset time, loading time, ready time, cooldown time, and everything else. All of these things you need to itemize and figure out how much each of these individual little things take, and then multiply it over 8 hours, and you will see that, let's say, if every employee, think about it like this, if you have... What will be the math for this? You don't have 16 employees. But let's say you had 16 employees, and every single employee worked 8 hours a day, and 30 minutes of that day need to be dedicated in order to like unlock things. Now you need to hire an entire new employee in order to maintain the same level of efficiency. Crazy.
It can only come from one place. Just look at the price of this deodorant. It's absolutely expensive, almost $20, when a 3-pack of the exact same stuff costs $23 on Amazon right now. That's crazy. And if prices are going up and convenience is going down, what reason is there to even shop in a physical store anymore? You'd literally have...
That's actually, he brings up a really good point, and I think that's what that Indian guy was saying on the video, is that basically, these stores are already losing a lot of market share to things that are more convenient, like Amazon Prime. And so now, when you add this extra barrier to entry, it makes it even easier for people to transition over to somewhere else. That's it. Amazon has this for $3. Well, not only do they have it for $3, they also have it with... Amazon comes to my house. Yeah, it's delivered directly to your door. You don't have to pay shipping because you have Amazon Prime. And if there's a problem, usually you can return it. It's annoying, kind of, but yeah. They send it to your fat ass? Yeah.
Have to be
One day,
desperate
too,
for
somehow?
some overpriced
Yeah, exactly.
item and need it immediately for some sudden purpose to even go into one of these places. But if things are 3 times the price of what you can get them for on the internet, people are going to change their habits, and most people
And that's
are.
also another big issue, is that the prices on the internet are not amortized, or like, they're not factored into the entire price of like the value, right? Because like if you're selling things on the internet, you're not factoring in shrink in the same way. Shrink is stealing in the same way that you would be than if you have a retail store inside of New York City. It's just like it's making it to where these stores basically can't fucking exist other than being loot boxes. Yeah.
They're willing to wait a couple of days to get their dryer sheets. Just order your dryer sheets ahead of time. That way you don't have to run out and then come into a store more than you pay on the internet.
Exactly.
However, the internet is a double-edged sword because it's both the cure for in-store theft and the cause of in-store theft in many cases. Because although you can't steal these cleaning products from Amazon as it's online, someone else could steal them from a place like this and then resell them back to you. And that is the whole reason stores like this, no matter how well guarded they are, may not have a whole lot of time left, at least in this city.
I think that's true. I think that right now we're in like a transitionary period, and Amazon already has stores that function this way. I think the future of retail stores are going to be places where you can go inside. Like, I think that there's going to be a trend, like right now, like, you know how like McDonald's is moving away from a lot of customer service and a lot of the McDonald's experience to become a much more corporate min-maxed system, right? Like, I feel like anybody can see that. So I think that's going to keep going, and that's going to keep going for maybe like 10 more years, right? Maybe 15 more years. But what I think is going to happen after that is that there's going to start to begin and it's already happening, but it will be it'll be at like a crisis point, right? Or like a crossover of like where at that point you're going to have more people. I was thinking about 3 different things at the same time. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Let me scroll up and read what chat was saying as responding to what I was saying. Automated, right? And so anyway, these stores, there's going to be a growing demand for people. I disconnected. And there's going to be a growing demand for people to have in-store customer service. And that's why, like, for example, and this is like a really, really weird abstract example, but hopefully you guys can appreciate it. Do you know this scene in John Wick where he goes in to buy the suit and he's talking directly to the guy, and then he's talking directly to the suit maker, and then he's talking directly to the guy that makes the guns? People like that type of in-person personal service, right? And it's seen as, oh wow, this guy's a fucking G. So like the idea is that this is a high value, high status type of service. And regardless of whether it's selling you a machine gun or selling you, you know, a machine toy gun, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And so the point is that I think that after about 15 years or so, we're going to see a resurgence of retail stores that have actual customer experience people there that are designed to kind of help you with your purchase. And you see a little bit of that now with like luxury stores. Like if you ever go inside of, how many of you guys have ever been inside of like one of these like stupid overpriced stores like Armani or whatever? They'll immediately have somebody on you. Maybe the reason why is because they saw me and they were like, oh, yeah, watch him. Watch him. Make sure he doesn't do anything. He's not gonna, don't let him shit on them. If that's the guy from last week, don't let him shit on the floor again. Yeah, so they have no idea, right? And anyway, so you're going to see a growing resurgence in demand for like the customer experience, I think in 10 to 15 years, to an extent that it will be met by a retail store that ends up making profit because of it. But what I think we're going to transition to a lot more of right now is that we're in like this weird middle ground where we have a tremendous amount of technology, but we don't have the technology calibrated in a way that's efficient. And so you're seeing Amazon, and there's also certain places in the EU that do this as well, that automatically charge you based off of the objects that you walk out of the store with, and you walk into the store with an amount of money, right? Like on a card. That was fake? Well, if it was fake, it's going to be real. Like, I mean, do you really think that that's not going to happen? Because, like, I can guarantee you it's going to happen. That's the smartest and most efficient way of doing it, and I guarantee you that there are billions of dollars being invested right now at this very moment into making that a reality. It does, but it's rare. Exactly. But eventually it won't be. And so anyway, Pilot Store, yeah. It was just some people in India charging whenever you're there. Yeah, well, either way, that's what I think is going to happen. And that's going to be the future of retail stores. At least in like
this right here behind
in like the
is
short term.
probably the most
No way, you guys don't think so?
Walgreens
Okay.
in the entire city. Not only does it have security cameras, but we're in a brand new train station, which is being patrolled by National Guard troops. And exits are limited. You can't just run out of this place right through this massive front door and then be on the street. No, you're still.
Yeah, it's crazy how much more civilized things are when there's any authority there. Like you see the National Guard posted up. Maybe you're not going to steal those Cheetos. You leave them on the rack. Nope. Not today.
A facility which is
and this is another component too, is that a lot of people think that criminals are like these like stupid animals that can't figure out what's going on and they just can't control themselves. Most criminals make conscious decisions to minimize risk. And that's the reason why, and I bet a lot of places, like, people will probably be less likely to break into a house if the person owning in the house can't own a gun.
How can I be of service?
But even though you'll see a few more free-range products on the shelf of this particular store compared to the CVS we were just in, there is still a lot of progressive plexiglass in here,
These are also professional.
Because sadly, even a place like this is not immune to theft.
As long as there are resale markets that are not held accountable for the sale of stolen goods, then this kind of conduct is only going to get worse.
Here's how it works. A criminal network hires an individual or crew called boosters. After robbing a retailer, they turn over the stolen goods to someone waiting nearby called a fence. The fence then takes the haul to a home or warehouse where a cleaner removes anti-theft devices or marks.
So there's a couple angles to this online retail theft component. The first angle is that it makes it very easy for anybody to say that they have a product and to list it for sale and to offload it. And the second problem is that these companies like Amazon benefit whenever something is sold on their site. They take a cut, and some people say that's why they are doing more to get rid of illegal products from their sites. However, even though Amazon and eBay benefit from the sale,
I think the woman is totally misguided, and her fixation on Amazon not blocking these people. It's impossible to block people that are doing this.
You got the full weight of a star.
These are not like, I mean, if you want to talk about like them being Walgreens exclusive items, this is just them trying to leverage this issue to lower the credit of Amazon because they view Amazon as a competitor. They're not actually looking at solving this problem. They're just looking at a way to badmouth their competitor.
Of anything, no matter where it's from, it's not the fault of these sites that New York has a massive retail theft problem. A problem which is so bad we've even got to lock up our ice cream with a massive padlock. Look at the size of this thing. Now, of course,
they got the drumsticks on the lock.
Civilian research complete.
Oh my God.
Can I do out?
You can't sell ice cream online, but there's another place you can sell it in New York City, which is why this stuff, too, is locked up.
This is ridiculous.
It's not the fault of the internet alone that New York has a $4.4 billion shoplifting economy. But before we get into the other ways stolen products are offloaded in this city that is unique to it, it's important to understand that even if Amazon stamped out every illegal listing on their entire site, this stuff, it would still get taken and it would still end up somewhere else because people who steal want money. And even though Amazon and eBay probably should be doing more to keep the sale of illicit goods from taking place on their platforms, the real problem is places like New York aren't doing enough to stop criminals.
It's impossible for them to stop doing that. I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, it's like what he's saying is common sense, but these are all methods of reduction and nothing's going to make it stop happening.
From taking things in the first place. Here's an example of a serial shoplifter with over 100 arrests. How is this even allowed to happen? How is somebody allowed to commit 100 crimes and still be walking around on the streets? And how are we supposed to expect this person to learn something the 101st time they get arrested that they didn't learn the other 100 times? We're not. And criminals like this are the real reason New York has an out-of-control crime problem. Now, that doesn't mean Amazon is innocent. After all, the more products that are locked up in stores, the more people who will just go online to buy from them. But the reality here is that in New York, you've got a lot of places to offload something that you took and want to resell, and the city's not doing anything about it.
Millions of dollars in stolen goods seized in Queens and put on display for the cameras. The thieves had an eye for cosmetics, beauty products, designer clothing.
The defendants utilized social media, Instagram, and other online resources.
What a surprise. I mean, of course you're going to do that. I mean, that's the smart stuff to steal. Yeah, they're going to steal that because they make the most money off of it. Yeah, it's simple. Makeup is expensive. Yeah, makeup is really expensive, for sure. I'm from Brazil, and up until a few years ago, we always dreamed about the U.S. and always complimented U.S. citizens were so right about being exposed, self-checkout. Things have changed too fast. The problem is that it's become a politically charged issue that prosecuting people for stealing is like, it's like a political thing. I think that there's like a lot of issues that have become politicized that I don't think that they should be politicized. Like, for example, like police brutality, police violence, body cams, stuff like this, like shoplifting, homelessness, etc. Like, these are issues that are really not political issues, but they've been like basically polarized to where like people that are on like one side of an issue, like also usually are part of like an entire group of people.
To advertise for the stolen goods for sale both here and for abroad.
So here we've got a multi-million-dollar crime ring which was busted towards the end of last year, and they didn't just sell on Amazon. They sold on pretty much every website, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, and they also sold things physically here in New York and physically in other countries. Not to mention, you've also got people selling things on blankets on the sides of the road throughout New York. Police see this stuff happening, they walk right by, nothing gets done about it. It's not even legal to do that without a license. And the sad reality is that New York is just such a big place with so many people living in it that anybody who's got that entrepreneurial spirit and zero morals, and who also might not.
People do it. The reason why they do that is just simply because it makes money. And also, like, if you've been laying this stuff out and the police don't do anything to you for it, and you make money, then you're gonna keep doing it. I mean, fucking obviously that's gonna happen. Like, if you don't enforce a law, it doesn't exist. It's not like laws are not like the laws of physics, like gravity or like something like that. It doesn't, like the speed of light. This isn't, they're not real. Like, we just made up the rule that you can't steal things. Like, there's no like, you know, law of physics that's preventing you from stealing the cold flu pack from Walgreens. So if you don't enforce the law, it doesn't exist.
Not have the computer skills necessary to take pictures of stuff on their phone and then list it for sale on a website, they can make money in a number of ways. The first thing they can do would be to take the products they steal to somebody else who wants to sell them online. They could also unload them from a suitcase and sell them themselves if they want to. Or in the case of food, they could take this food to a nearby deli or bodega. That's why the ice cream is locked up. It gets stolen and then gets transported to another store where it then gets resold. This happens with clothes as well. There was a quote-unquote cosmetics store that was selling stolen goods from stores like Macy's, and it existed around the corner from Macy's in a physical location where customers...
Well, that makes sense, right? Because, like, you like that, because if you want, that's smart. That's smart, yes, because if you put it right next to it, you're going to see people that see the other two. They're like, all right, well, fuck, let's just go over there. Seems profitable, yes. Bro, yeah, genius economy there. Holy shit, steal it back? I guess so.
could walk in, and they had stolen items from pretty much every store. Macy's, Nordstrom's, all of it in their store, some of it with the same tags that it had on it in the store that it was taken out of. And when you hear about stuff like that, and then you go to a store like this and you see things like ice cream behind bars, and when you see the vans of products parked in middle-class neighborhoods that are like miniature shopping malls that can drive away when the police show up, the full reality of New York's predicament when it comes to theft starts to emerge. It's so big, no store can stop it. And we're at a point now where anything that can be stolen will be stolen and taken somewhere else for profit. And obviously, none of this security is a deterrent whatsoever, because you can have as many police and as many National Guard troops as you want. A store like this in a well-guarded area, it's still gonna have to lock things up because criminals just don't care. They know that if they wait long enough inside the store, an opportunity will arise for them to take something that's not theirs and then run off. It's terrible. And right now, we've got criminals with hundreds of arrests just wandering our streets looking for new opportunities to do the thing that they've done hundreds of times already. They're the reason.
This is the other thing, is like, most of the people that are probably stealing shit it's probably the same group of people. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if the amount of people that are actually stealing, it's like 1,000 people that are probably doing this. And if you just take out like the top 1,000 or 2,000 highest offenders, you will probably cut this down by like 80 or 90%. Yeah, the 80-20 rule. Yeah, exactly. Because like you think about 100, like a lot of people have stolen something from a store once or twice. But 300 combined times between a handful of people, 100 times per person, that's crazy. You cut off the high offenders, and then also there's another effect that has, is that the people that would be the high offenders see that, and they say, oh, all right, never mind. You know, 300 rookie rate? Yeah, this is a weird American problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. My brother steals every day. Yeah, exactly, right? And so that's my point, is that the majority of this is probably happening from the same people that are doing it. If you just locked up the top, I'd say like 1,000 worst offenders, this problem would go down massively.
And a brand new Walgreens and a brand new train station still has to lock everything up, even though it's surrounded by people in full military dress. And is Amazon partly responsible for this? Absolutely. They gain new customers every single day. Somebody walks into a place like this and has to wait longer than they want to buy something that they know is already overpriced. But the reality here is that without new laws that criminalize crime once again in this city, more of our stores are going to shut down. More pharmacies this year will close, just like they did last year, and there will be even less places for people to buy basic things. And the quality of life for New Yorkers is going to go down, while the costs to live here go up as the remaining stores do even more to crack down on crime because our laws won't. What do you think about that? Should people who steal go to jail, or should we do something else? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, obviously they should go to jail. They are, I mean, it's not even a question. But I think also what they probably should do, like if I was the police, this is what I would do. I would work with I would find the most prolific people that are doing it, and I would probably give them a deal to commute part of their sentence if they can help work on methods of reduction to stop it from happening. Because a lot of them will instantly turn. Like, because these people, they're not like, a lot of these thieves, they're not like these evil people, right? They're not like these demons or something like that. They're just taking advantage of a situation that's beneficial to them. That's all. They're taking advantage of a situation. Yes, some are, oh, you don't work with them. But you look at the people that are reasonable, you figure out, okay, how are you doing it? How is it working? How can you help us fix this problem? Right? I feel like that's the smart thing to do.
Forces have arrived, ready for battle.
And I imagine you steal something, you can only be judged when caught red-handed. What the fuck is this? Why doesn't Walgreens make Walgreens card that gives 90% cost reduction above the prices, so stealing is over $5,000 and they can charge for larger crimes? Because then that creates another piece of friction in retail, where like now you have to have a card, and it's a huge issue.
Okay,
and so that's the main reason why it didn't happen. Yeah, New York is fixing a situation with this, again, where stop and frisk is jailing folks is going to come back. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. No, this is not like hacking. No, they need to get their knowledge. Fuck them. I don't know. I think it's... like a lot of the people that create systems that do stuff like this, they're not stupid. It's not like you can't figure it out at all, but it's better to at least get the leg up and at least start where they're at whenever you're figuring out how to make it stop happening. Yeah, I mean, there it is, some of them. Yeah, exactly. And I would try to find some of them and figure out, like, okay, why is this happening? And so, yeah, anyway, make stupid choices, but all of them are smart. So why does the law exist? I don't know. And, inflation counter, but yeah, this is I think it's a huge problem, and I feel like the more that it happens, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to see more stores that have, like, whenever I don't know, this is in like 2000, and like if I go back to like 2010 for example, and I think back to 2010, almost nothing was locked up. Like the only thing at Walmart that was locked up was pretty much video games and like expensive electronics like phones. And now if I go to Walmart, I would say 20% of the store is locked up. Yes, oh, spray paint was locked up because people would get high with spray paint. Good point. Yeah, you're right about that. But yeah, this is just how government works. Theft is okay in a high crime area because people elect high cross criminals. Well, I don't know about that. But games were only done because they were in the box too. Now they're not. Yeah, exactly. Scan receipt on exit? No, because the people don't really do good scans. That's the issue, is that they say they do, and then they're like, oh yeah, let's look at what the scan is, and it's like just basically nothing. It's like, oh yeah, did you buy? Yeah, all right, good. Like, people have walked out with shit all the time. I remember bullets not being locked up in Walmart. Yeah, and now Benadryl is. Yeah, it's a crazy world. I guess New York is probably the worst example of it, or one of the worst examples, but I think it is going to keep getting worse.
Ready for battle. Hostile forces have arrived.
I also think that there's a lot of copium with this game. I do not think that its success is good enough to justify the theoretical amount of money that was spent on it and the other projects that this was meant to make up for.
A lot is going down right now for Ubisoft. I'll start with the obvious thing that you know, that Assassin's Creed Shadows has just had its review embargo lift.
Yep.
But that's not really the main story here, and by the end of this video, we'll even be discussing the very real chance of Ubisoft quite literally splitting. That might sound crazy to you,
I think that they're going to have to do it. I think they're going to have to split the company or do something crazy.
Colony has been founded.
Too many L's.
It's actually a well-substantiated thing that we're able to talk about.
Your D&D analogy is perfect.
According to this shareholder letter, Assassin's Creed Shadows should save the company financially. Here's the thing.
See? This is what I was saying. It was like what I said. I'll repeat it. I apologize because like the third day I've used this analogy. So if you've heard it before, I'm sorry. You ever play Dungeons and Dragons and you need to roll a 19 or a 20 in order to just hit a monster? I think that that's what Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They needed to roll a 19 or a 20 and they rolled an 11 or a 12. Rolling an 11 or 12 is better than average. And, you know, technically you did get lucky, but it wasn't enough.
That is not some boastful letter sent to the shareholders from Ubisoft. Oh no, it is an eviscerating letter sent from shareholders to Ubisoft, and they are not happy. It's alleging secret talks, it announces a protest, it threatens...
Yeah, AJ investors are prepared to sue the company for misleading investors. Holy shit. Jesus.
Lawsuits.
That's bad.
And it all cuts through to a very personal angle.
Yeah.
The CEO and founder, Yves Guillemot, has been fending off hostile takeovers for a lot of his recent career, and it's happening to him again, because now he has got shareholders trying to take him out, and that gives anyone who could help him out of his current situation quite a lot of leverage.
I gotta tell you, if you're the CEO and the graph looks like it does, I think you gotta go. I do. Like, I mean, I feel like there has to be accountability for that, right? I mean, you can't lose 80% value of the company and then it's like, oh, well, this is normal.
Huge story to cover today, and the little fun part of it is, one of the things that they're trying to weaponize is...
And also another issue is that the products simply were not selling well. It's not a matter of like the stock being overvalued or some sort of market manipulation. The fact is that a lot of their recent games haven't been high quality games. I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Fact. You and me. Now here's something that's pretty wild. BT were hacked a few months ago, and that meant that user data, which may include my family, was stolen. And that's why I actually use today's sponsor, Incogni, because they are our way to fight back. That's because when data leaks, data brokers then harvest it, and then they just sell it on. You don't
Do you
really
remember
know.
back in the 90s and the 2000s where it would have a guy hacking a computer and he'd be wearing a mask while he was doing it?
Who? If you ever wonder how spam callers get your number and lots of strange things like that, well, it's
those were the days, right?
This whole terrible system. It sucks.
Yeah.
And Incogni solves the problem by automating the legal work that you otherwise have to do to get your data taken down. And if you join at incogni.com/BellyNews, you'll get 60% off an annual plan. And here's how it works. It's so easy. You enter your information, and that's basically it.
Wow.
Now, the way it actually works is you've got the legal right to have your data taken down. But doing that takes hours. It's a manual process, and it's not permanent. What Incogni does is it automatically scans all the brokers, it sends takedown requests, and it adds you to suppression lists, so your data is not reharvested.
I don't understand how this even happened, by the way. This is it's so annoying. Like this problem should not even exist.
That automatically,
I hate
and then
this.
it constantly rescans so your data is actually kept down. Just take a look at my dashboard for an example. You can see 150 sent requests, 142 completed. I've not touched it since October, but since October, Incogni's removed me from 35 more brokers. That's peace of mind at incogni.com/BellyNews. Get 60% off an annual plan, so give my link a click today. To kick us off, here's the letter. It's from AJ Investments, who bought a minority share in Ubisoft last year. If you know what a activist investor is, well, they're basically one of those. They jump into a company, they try to do some form of skullduggery to yank up the share price, and then they yeet themselves away with a lovely payday. Now, when their letter says that Shadows can save the company financially, it's not wrong. The finances of Ubisoft do need saving, as do the Guillemets, whose position this letter very much seeks to undermine. So let me lay out the stakes for you so you understand the gravity of today's story. Ubisoft's post-pandemic release schedule just, well, fell off a cliff, right?
Every game they've released basically in the last 5 years has been dog shit.
Wiped out an enemy colony.
Minus like maybe 2.
A new colony has been founded. So be it.
That's really bad. That's really bad.
And then when they did ship games, quite often they missed on quality and they undersold. Leakers actually report half a dozen cancelled projects, and of course, please the market, Ubisoft launched into all of the fun trends, the NFTs, the AI, all of that. Then, of
Ubisoft recently actually made a new NFT game.
Harassment and abuse.
If you can believe that.
Purge of senior leadership. And then the year 2024 happened. 2024 was, as we all know, pretty much a shit show for the company. The thing that should have really brought in the sales, Assassin's Creed Shadows, was obviously delayed. They knew that Shadows needed to be of better quality. It seemed that Avatar Frontiers of Pandora didn't really do that well. And while Prince of Persia lost...
This is fucking stupid. It's a stupid fucking game. Why do you even think it'd make an Avatar game? Like, who the fuck thought this was a good idea? Who wanted to play this? Nobody wanted to play this fucking bullshit. Like, what's this fairy shit? What the fuck are you doing with this fairy-ass bullshit? Like, why? Who asked? Who wanted this? Nobody asked. Nobody wanted this. What are you thinking?
Of Persia, Lost
Why are you
Crown is a
thinking?
really good video game. It was just too niche, and it basically did not move
It was
the needle.
overpriced.
While all this is going on, we've got the investors rebelling, demanding the removal of the founding Guillemot family. But of course, unfortunately for those investors, the Guillemots had spent the last decade making their position, their control over the company, almost impeachable for a deal with Tencent. And so, Shadows was delayed, and now we're at the time where it is about to come out. And now it basically means...
I think this game got delayed like 2 or 3 times, too. It wasn't even just once.
Shadows flops, it's proof that Ubisoft does need to be gutted, and that leadership, say the Guillemets, really are the problem, at least to the investors. If the game succeeds, in a way it'll almost be proof that management should have just made a lot of decisions a lot sooner, and basically for AJ Investments with their letter, no matter what happens with Shadows, they'll get to basically say, yeah, we told you so. Now, don't be confused here.
How can I be of service?
Okay. This is not a good graph. It's not. This is a bad graph.
Where do you need me?
This is a very, very, very bad graph. Just because you release one game that does well.
We'll see it.
As I said, you needed to roll a 19, you rolled an 11. Great. Amazing. Awesome. But it doesn't matter because it doesn't counterbalance everything else that was bad. Buy the dip? Yeah, I guess so.
AJ Investments are not out to make a better game for you. They are parroting very obvious criticisms of Ubisoft, many of which I'd say we could probably agree with.
Sure.
But as an example, they're also pissed off over the delay to Shadows. I think we all know that that delay was a good thing, and as you'll soon find out in this video, they're trying to rile everybody up to generate headlines to put more pressure on the Guillemos, which will, of course, make their position far stronger.
Professional complainers.
Given that they're trying to do the whole rebelling thing.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that, but for now, let's examine the spiciest claims of their letter. Ubisoft have been secretly meeting Microsoft, Electronic Arts, Tencent, and more. That is the claim that is made by the shareholder letter, and it's far from the only bit of pressure that AJ Investments are seeking to mount up here. They actually plan a protest.
So they're playing Assassin's Creed IRL with the company?
They plan a lawsuit against Ubisoft's management as well.
That's a
they
lie.
Say have wrongfully withheld information and hurt shareholders. Now, sparking this was the Assassin's Creed Shadow dual delay and then the financial forecast changes that were caused by that. Suffice to say, yeah, revenue projections went down.
Massively.
But then it gets a bit juicy because they say that this depressed stock price would allow the big players to buy up Ubisoft on the cheap. Now, of course, those were big players who were
That's true. But, like, that's what happens whenever the game does badly. I mean, I think that's normal. They were doing research? Yeah, that's totally normal.
Leading with Ubisoft management, that would be great. It would be fulfilling management's personal goals at the expense of the portfolios of smaller shareholders.
Yeah, sure.
Perhaps shareholders like AJ Investments. It's quite spicy. And per the letter, Ubisoft often hid things from their investors.
Why I feel happy about this? I think the people are happy about this is because they view Ubisoft as a representative of everything that's wrong with video games nowadays. Slop, open world, checklist design, daily quests in a single player game, pay to win in a single player game, and it's also like you have to like deluxe editions that are over $100. Like Ubisoft is definitely like, if you can think of the Exodia, right, of bad video game companies, you have the head, sexual harassment allegations, the arm, the right arm, you have microtransactions, the left arm, you have woke video game design, the left leg, you have, oh geez, let's see, open world time wasting mechanisms, and the right leg, you've got fucking I don't know, did I say microtransactions? I could think of 5 other ones too, but you know, a million NFTs, shitty combat, shops. Yes, by our powers combined, Captain Planet, exactly, yes. So why people don't like this game, I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, why they don't like the company, it makes a lot of sense. And it's also, yeah, you have your own shitty launcher. So people will celebrate the failures of something that represents what they think is bad. That's it. That's the main reason why they're happy. Is it something that they don't like taking it out?
Mining upgrade complete.
That's understandable.
As an example, allegedly Ubisoft hit a deal with Savvy Games. Savvy Games, if you're not aware, are Saudi Arabia's state-funded gaming company. They make a lot of investments.
Here's what I think. I think that they're going to these investors because they're fucking desperate.
An auction.
I think they know they're cooked. And so, yes, you're going to Saudi Arabia, you're going to China, Tencent, because you need somebody to bail you out, because you know that you're fucked. That's the real reason.
So apparently there was a deal with them to make DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I think a lot more relevant to today, quote, discussions between Microsoft, Electronic Arts, and others that are interested in acquiring IPs from Ubisoft. And if true, that is a perfect wedge issue for AJ Investments.
Yeah.
And they note this letter says that they will hold a protest in Paris this May, and that if things don't improve, they'll actually sue.
Wow.
And look, when you examine all of this, it's hard to not see a lot of it as just the final nail in the coffin for Ubisoft. They've had nothing but bad news. You know, even their own shareholders are turning against them. But it's not all of their shareholders. It's a group of them. A group that is led by AJ Investments. And it's not hard to see.
Just because you have some investment activist group complaining, that doesn't really fucking matter. What really matters is the quality of the games and how many people are buying them. That's the bottom line. That's the lifeblood of your business. And if that's not happening,
can I do out?
You're fucked. That's it. That is the beginning and the end of this conversation.
Shields down.
Hey, Saudi Arabia, want to cash us out after almost going bankrupt for being woke? Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. And you know what? If I was Saudi Arabia, I would say, yes, please, let us cash you out. We'll make the new Assassin's Creed. We can set it in, you know, like Middle Ages and like, you know, medieval ages like Arabia. And the game is going to have a, you know, dark, edgy male protagonist. And it's going to sell 10 million fucking copies.
We'll see it done.
Prince of Persia, yeah. Yeah, wow, where was that? Is that, geez, I forgot. Yeah, so you just go right back to what you were doing, and you do it again. Yeah, that's the first game. Exactly. Exactly, yeah, so of course they're going to be down for that. You're describing the first game? I know that. That's my whole point. Do it again.
Reporting in.
People buy Call of Duty every year. They'd buy this too.
Actually doing here. And that's really because they've played their cards like openly for everyone to see. It's bloody obvious. And, well, they're not the sort that we should trust, even if sometimes they'll say words that we agree with. Let me explain why. Reading AJ's letter, the one thing that will strike you is that it's dramatic, right? Ubisoft are keeping secrets. Shareholders are going to protest. Lawsuits are coming. That is all a mode of spicy stuff. And it is spicy. It's kind of fun to talk about. But here's the thing with that. We've been watching this story since it began, and it began last year.
Yeah.
What this letter is, because if you only see a little fragment here or there, you won't have a real full picture of the story. What this is just another play in a war game that's been going on for a while. The first letter actually came last year from AJ Investments.
I watched this whenever, I remember covering this when it happened.
And this open letter blamed Ubisoft management for everything wrong with the company. And in fairness, a hell of a lot of blame does rest with them. But why was this new open letter released to IGN first? That's no slight, of course, to IGN's news department.
All they're doing is they're trying to position themselves in a way that will pressure the company publicly in order to change what they're doing and change their leadership so they can probably get more stock and control of the company. That's the reason why. It's obvious. Now, sometimes you can be doing that for a good reason, but that's exactly what's being done.
But the whole letter, I mean, it's a shareholder letter. It's corporate talk. Why are you giving that to the world's most read gaming site for gamers instead of, say, the trade press?
They want me to react to it. That's the reason why. They just want they want an Asmongold react video, obviously.
I mean, if the intent is to actually get shareholders and investors to protest with them, that does seem kind of counterintuitive. You would not go to IGN if that was your goal. What you would go to IGN for is to get public eyeballs on the situation.
Yep.
Eyeballs that are, of course, part of gaming brains generally are pretty frustrated with Ubisoft, but not really people who will be thinking about who AJ Investments are, who might think, oh, look at that, even the shareholders are turning against them. Damn, those shareholders are our bros. Oh, no. Like, look, the headlines, I mean, we just got to laugh at Ubisoft. It gets the headlines trending. Here's the thing. Investment firms generally don't care, too much about the detail of why gamers are mad. They just want to harness you and further their own game. And their game is...
I think that's fine, by the way. I don't need you to care about my feelings. Just make a good game, and that's it. We don't need to be best friends. We don't need to be in a relationship. We just need to, all I want is for them to make the game good. That's it. Just make good games. Use them and we use them and they use us. And this is a perfectly great relationship. Let's not rock the boat.
Fairly obvious.
That's right.
It's to put more and more pressure on Ubisoft. So if news sparks because of their open letter sent to IGN, which it absolutely has, then that does further the pressure on Ubisoft to capitulate to their demands. They don't actually need to do a protest or a lawsuit to accomplish that. They just need to harness public relations against Ubisoft.
That's right.
Now, what about the meat of their letter, right? That Ubisoft are meeting other companies. That it's,
that's a lot.
Secret and spooky stuff. Well, it is newsworthy, right? Yeah, okay, them talking to these companies like EA, that is newsworthy. But it's also exactly what Ubisoft promised they would do. which was, to again quote Ubisoft's
Which
own
is
words,
smart. That's what they should
review,
be doing,
quote,
obviously,
various
right?
transformation,
Yeah, of course.
strategic and capitalistic options. And to kind of cut through business speak, that basically just means layoffs, closures, and possible sale options. And so far, we've seen layoffs.
I think they might have to sell off some of their IPs or split the company or do something really big. Because I just can't see how you can have such a big company lose 80% of your value and then release kind of a mid-game or like slightly above mid-game, and then suddenly now everybody's supposed to be okay with it. I just don't see that happen, man. Yeah, I just don't. They have 13,000 employees. Well, the problem, and I think this is also another big issue that Ubisoft has had, is that they've tried to release too many games. It's like, stop doing that. You're making too many games. You can't release a new AAA game every single year and maintain a high level of quality. Says you? Yes, exactly, says me. Yes, yes, there's too many mid games. It is better to focus entirely on making one really, really good game than make a bunch of different games, diminish the brand value, and then hope that one of them pops off through some sort of like viral, internet marketing campaign. It's just not what's going to happen. Yeah, it's like you can't just, well, if we sell one game and we get $10, we can sell 5 games and we get $50, and we sell 10 games and we get $100. Oh my God, let's make 20 games, we'll make $200. You can't do that. Like, you're going to hit market saturation at a certain point. And I think that they have, and it's also the amount of bandwidth that the leadership has. Because fundamentally, leadership is now being spread across so many different things. You can't do that. Like, it's not how things work.
Closures.
They're set up to fail.
Possible sale options is, well, not really surprising because they literally said they would do that. And when you actually read Ubisoft's statement, they say that when there is a transaction, the market will be told. And you may then think, why would you be secret about that? Why would you not announce talks? Well,
insider
if talks
trading
fail or a deal falls through, that can really hurt you as a company.
Exactly.
Just ask the Embracer Group.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about this before it's settled, because if they do, then you're going to have a lot of market speculation one way or another, and it could make the company look bad if it doesn't happen, or it could make the company look bad if it does happen. So they want to save that until it's actually a defined entity. I think that makes perfect sense.
Well, that went for them. So, given the risk, why would investors want Ubisoft to talk? Specifically, these investors, AJ Investments. It's pretty obvious. Rumors of a deal will shoot the price up. This quite literally happened. For short-term investors, that is the business model, and you don't even need to take it from me. We can just read AJ's own website. Quote, AJ Investments take advantage of events and take such steps that will help correct and optimize the running of companies. Basically, they capitalize on a problem. They force any solution that raises a short-term stock price, and then they profit.
Yeah,
they don't so much care about the long term when they say, save the company. As an example, they only started their position in Ubisoft a few weeks before they published their first open letter. Prior to that, they're actually long-term shareholders of Activision Blizzard.
It does seem like it's very obvious, advantageous. Like, I mean, they're not necessarily good actors, but at the same time, you can agree with people that are bad actors, but you can still acknowledge, yeah, they are bad actors too.
Which obviously worked out fairly well for them in the end. But in this case, right, their letter, their pressure did kind of work. Ubisoft's studio closures and layoffs in the last few months happened at least in part because of that pressure. And now the stock price is somewhat rising up again. But not just because of this letter. In fact, it's because Ubisoft might actually be close to a deal. What if I told you we might actually have Ubisoft 2? I'm not shitting you.
Civilian research complete.
I think that it's going to happen.
Military structure
I do.
Complete.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. Just too many L's. The best thing that Ubisoft could do is take half of the company. Okay, let me think about how this would work. So, what are the big Ubisoft IPs? Give me like the top 3 biggest Ubisoft IPs.
Another structure.
Okay, Assassin's Creed. Okay. Sell Assassin's Creed to either Saudi Arabia or to China. sell Prince of Persia to Saudi Arabia, sell Far Cry to probably also China, sell Splinter Cell to, I don't know, probably also China. Rainbow Six Siege, sell that to China. Okay, a lot of these would go to China. Persia's not in Arabia. I know, but it's the same type of vibe, right? Like, I mean, I think, I'm not saying it's the exact same thing. My point is that I think they could make a really good fucking version of it. It'd be good. That's it.
A new company created by Ubisoft that will include, quote, some of Ubisoft's IP, like Assassin's Creed. That is apparently something that could actually exist, that is looking for minority investors.
That's what they need to do.
This is according to Bloomberg's reporting. What it would essentially be is a lifeboat to save the company and maybe save management as well. Now, apparently offers are being made to Tencent as well as various investment funds, and preliminary bidding is actually being sought this very month. Now, obviously, right, this is all stuff that's not settled yet.
Maybe
I
should bid for the company.
But it does, in fact, align with Bloomberg's previous reporting.
Yeah.
Bloomberg, back in January, claimed that Tencent and Ubisoft were in talks to establish, quote, a new venture where the Gilmos would be backed by Tencent. Of course, the Gilmos are already backed by Tencent. A whole bunch of the Gilmos' control over Ubisoft is actually via a company that's called, like, I think it's Gilmo Brothers Limited or whatever, where basically the Gilmo Brothers company is like a joint venture or whatever with Tencent.
Civilian research
It's crazy how many roach things that people do in like business in order to like obfuscate who owns what.
A new colony has been founded.
Like, and it becomes immediately evident that the reason why this is because the people that are inventing these roach solutions are the ones that are paying the government to add in little holes so the roaches can go in and out of the holes. That's it. I hate that. Yes. It's a roach economy. Zero accountability. I don't know about zero accountability, but it's just harder to see what is what.
So suffice to say, the boys at Tencent have got decent leverage.
As much on the company. I mean, if you want me to be totally honest, I do not want to deal in video game development. I don't want to manage video games at all. I would manage, like, I'm not passionate about making video games. I am passionate about maybe media, but not making. I just not. Like, it's just not something, like, it's weird, right? Because I play video games. I've always played video games my whole life. I'm one of those weird people, maybe, that I never thought, oh, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to make video games. I always wanted to grow up and just collect money from the government and play video games. Mission accomplished, by the way. But other than that, yeah, that was it. That's not weird. Yeah, it's insanely difficult to make video games. Yeah, but it's insanely difficult to do a lot of things and kids still want to do that. Yeah, that was it.
For the Gilmos, I think it's fair to say. Anyway, what's making me more curious here is that Bloomberg are reporting that Ubisoft may, and this is a quote, seek evaluation for the yet-to-be-formed IP unit that is higher than the size of the main companies.
Man.
So let that sink in. A unit of Ubisoft being worth more than Ubisoft. How can that make sense? Well, honestly, it's actually extremely simple. Efficiency. If you take one unit of Ubisoft and take it away...
That's true. I mean, apparently they have 13,000 employees. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like if you have a game and the credits for this game are 2 hours long.
Where do you need me?
Dare I say it, you might have a little bit too many people working on the game. Maybe it's just a little bit too much.
But then you look...
You know, it's a little bit bloated. Yeah, just ooh. Like, wow. Like, and keep in mind, the Concord credits were like an hour or an hour and a half. And everybody was joking about that, about how bad it was. Ubisoft said, hold up, I can do that better. And they did.
Civilian structure complete.
But Ubisoft and you
2 hour credits.
Lots of bits of Ubisoft are actually of a negative value. Well, yeah, of course, it actually makes a lot of sense that this sniped away thing, this scalpeled away thing, will actually...
This looks like...
Military structure complete.
This is like the Chinese or like the third world version of Valorant that, like, you buy guns with real money that do more damage. Like, and it's only on mobile. And it's called, like,
Where do you need me?
Firefight Warriors. Really? Like, this looks awful.
You don't have to tell us twice.
Actually have a higher valuation. Right
Pay
now,
for bullet,
the
yeah.
belief is that Ubisoft
Shooters,
not
yeah.
the developer headcount, but actually in intellectual property. A bit of a smaller, more focused company that only cares about a few IPs is likely going to be seen as a better investment. And honestly, I think it's pretty obvious why when you take a look at the games industry. So if this is to happen, and there is...
Yeah, the IPs have a lot of intrinsic value, but the company structure clearly does not. Like I've said this before, that like my dream is that Nintendo will have From Software make a Legend of Zelda game. Like, I'm not, like, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh, this is nice, like this. But I want Twilight Princess, I want Ocarina of Time, I want Majora's Mask, I want Link to the Past. I want that, plus Elden Ring. That's what I want. Would be peak? Yeah.
So be it.
And so the IP has a lot of value. Have you played it? No, I haven't. I'm talking about the style.
Good reporting from Bloomberg that it is something that's being investigated. How would it happen? Well, broadly, there's two ways that could go down. Number one, the new company would just hold the IP with really no developers. So it would control the IP for minimal cost. It would then license that IP back to the original Ubisoft entity, which would then be doing the development. The new IP holding entity would have lower fixed costs, less risk, and its investors would have more control, which gives them a real good incentive to buy in. It's basically saying, hey, do you want a slice of Assassin's Creed and The Crew and all these big good things, and not any of that other junk? It could be pretty good for...
It's actually crazy that they're doing this. That they're basically saying, like, we give up on making the games, we're just going to own the IPs and register and run the IPs instead. Like, this is basically admitting defeat.
The item is ready.
For them. There is, of course, another way. You just do a split in terms of development and intellectual property. You could perhaps imagine one side taking the smaller yet beloved properties like Rayman, Trackmania, and Anno.
Somebody says the problem is when the layoffs hit, they're laying off seniors and good people. When Ubisoft layoffs happen, the people who ruined Assassin's Creed will stay at the company. You bring up a really great point, and I think what you're saying is true. And that's why I always say, like, if you really want to see change happen, look at C-suite accountability. If you do that, things change instantaneously. We should not fire any people ever. I don't think that's what he's saying. I just think that he's saying that it's disappointing that in a case where the reality is in a lot of these like you know, these companies, like, yeah, you're gonna have bad people all the way down for sure, but like really the heads that should roll are the decision makers. That's why they get paid a bunch of money. They get paid like millions of dollars in stock options because of that accountability.
One side taking the smaller yet beloved properties like Rayman, Trackmania, and Anno, and maybe the other side taking the big AAAs, your Rainbows, Assassin's Creed, The Crew, all that stuff. The point is
like,
basically...
I don't want to make it like political, right? But it's like you saw this with Joe Biden. It's like how many border crossings were last year versus this year in February? It was 1. It was like 35,000. It changed to 1. At the end of the day, leadership does matter. And having leadership that puts a priority on certain things, that will change the direction of the company. It absolutely will. And I think that leadership bears the most responsibility and also the fault. That's it. It's all the difference. Yes. All the difference. It was like 70K plus? Yeah. Imagine being that one guy unstoppable. Got away.
In theory, both sides of the business could here be more efficient and be more focused. Now, there is a problem that efficiency is a fine idea on paper, and the other side of this is, yes, there are all of these rational arguments, but you could perhaps also say this would work for the goals of the Guillemot family, who would be using something like this to basically retain control of Ubisoft and solve their current predicament.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you're licensing out the IP, you fire like 90% of the employees, and all you're doing is running a skeleton operation where you're just basically selling the thing that you already had to people to do it better than you can. I mean, I feel like if I were them, that's a huge W for me. Yeah, that's a massive fucking W.
Of course, the problem there, the thing with efficiency is that it's fine on paper, not necessarily reality. Here's the rub for today. Assassin's Creed 7, the company, does not mean better games for you. Okay? How many games does Ubisoft make that are more efficient for investors on release than just putting your money on the stock market, right? Like in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
You fail.
Well, the answer basically is most Ubisoft
Zero.
games aren't really worth it.
Well,
as a business.
Ubisoft games are really good if you want to take $100 and turn it into $20. If you have $100 and you want to turn that into $10, maybe $20, Ubisoft is a really good place for you to start. But, you know, for people that want to make money, probably not.
So just throwing your money in the stock market.
Does the game cost $80?
Worth it.
Yeah,
Rainbow
that's
Six
the reason.
Siege is worth it. Brawlhalla is worth it. Some of their other sort of live servicey sleeper hits are probably worth it as well. But just about everything else, those are risks. They're taking up resources. That
Well, it's also like these other games like Brawlhalla, and these are very small games. It's nice to have a good game that has a small audience, that's well designed, and people enjoy it. But the problem is that isn't necessarily going to justify 13,000 employees. The fact is that if you have a company of over 10,000 people and you make video games, you need to be making the Lord of the Rings of video games. That's it.
A new colony has been founded.
be going to making
and if you're not, you're done.
Guaranteed profitable games.
Blizzard used to do
it's
it.
So efficient for Ubisoft to produce Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, right? Under pure market theory, that game was a bad investment. It was a waste of time. None of this is about the quality of the games that are being made. AJ Investments may
well,
say...
it's about... The thing is that I agree half with what Failure is saying and not with the other half. Is that the quality of the game, I think, also has to deal with the delivery method of the game. Like, for example, taking the character and then giving him that, like, you know, super generic Killmonger haircut, and then making the narrative of the story that's just like kind of paneling and it's not actually animations, and also selling it at such a high price in a Metroidvania genre where the average price is $20. You went into a market, you didn't advertise the game very well, you're selling it way above market cost, and you're making it in a way that's not really resonating with the audience. You're fucking up. Like, that's really just, it's a marketing department L, right? Whoever decided the production and distribution for this game should be fucking fired, because they totally messed it up. The game was fine, but if you design it this way and you make a game this way, you need to have and you need to fit inside of the market expectations, and that's not what they did. Fucking up on like multiple points, exactly. And so you see a lot of games, like I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is kind of the same thing, is that if they had never used this like argument to authority of like Yasuke, he's real, he's a real samurai, racist, like if they never used that type of messaging, I'm not saying they said that directly, but they clearly implied it, and they clearly went in that direction. If they had never done that, they would have never had this problem. It would have never happened. And so the problem is that at the very highest level, decisions are being made that are stupid. Stupid decisions are being made, and because of that, the games suffer. That's what it comes down to. That's what really matters. And like if I look at like Assassin's Creed, for example, the combat is very one-dimensional, it's bad. But like everything in the game generally works. It looks good, etc., right? What that tells me is that the people that are working on the game at a baseline, those people know what they're doing, and they're good at their job. To an extent, right? At least to enough extent, because they're following directions. But the people that are deciding the big picture ideas for the game, they're the ones that are totally wrong. They're the ones that are making bad decisions constantly. And that's the big problem. I wouldn't even call it bad, it's just mid. Yeah, the combat, I would say for an action combat game, I think it's below mid. But, I mean, that's my opinion. The combat department needs to be changed. Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that like I think that a lot of Ubisoft's, and I'll give you the best example and the best frame of reference for this, and I want to continue the video. It's almost over. Is that the guy, the CEO of the company, was like confused the reason why his video games aren't selling very well, but they review so well. Well, why are these games reviewing so well, but they're not selling well? Well, it's because they're not reviewing well. You're listening to a handful of retards that are, you know, journalists about these video games, and not your actual customers. I think that just by itself is the biggest self-report you can possibly have. How do you self-report that hard that you're focusing off of that?
They want that.
Rotten
They may
Tomatoes
say
problem?
that and try to harness your anger
maybe.
to put on more pressure. But at the end of the day, we know that they were pissed about the delays to Assassin's Creed Shadows. And whether you want that game to succeed or not, game companies delaying their game so that they can have more polished releases is almost universally a good thing for the customer.
It is.
So if Ubisoft are forced to sell off half their intellectual property to the highest bidder while throwing pink slips at thousands of developers and doing all of these short-term things and, pursuing getting that stock price up ASAP, but not necessarily at long-term value, long-term quality, will that be good for the games? I would not necessarily think so, especially since this is the type of the investor who is anti-delay, even though the likes of Star Wars Outlaws clearly tell us those delays are
I'm gonna be honest. It can't get worse. Fuck it, send it to China. Maybe they can do something right with it. They didn't fuck up Wukong. Seems like they're not fucking up a number of other games. Like, I mean, might as well. It can get worse? Not really, though, right?
A new colony has been founded.
Needed. And so regardless of how well Assassin's Creed Shadows sells, expect them to do more things to drum up more headlines to try and get a bit more leverage, a bit more control, and turn that pressure into something that they can profit off. Meanwhile, though, on the Gilmo front, well, they might be trying to restructure Ubisoft, doing something with Tencent and potential other suitors to get around this problem. Will that be good for the actual games? I don't necessarily think so.
I think that anything that involves a leadership change will be a net positive. If you want to use another D&D analogy, I think that their leadership is a 5. It's by the way, this is not a 6-sided dice. It's a 20-sided dice, D&D dice. Do you re-roll a 5? Yeah, you do. You re-roll a 5. I think that, yeah, they should re-roll it.
So, at least it basically means, who knows if Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be some amazing banger or terrible failure, whatever it is. At least, what I can say, with a good degree of surety, is that it does make for a pretty damn good episode of corporate drama. We can at least enjoy that. Okay, I'll see you when there's a new update to the story.
I think this is so funny.
Once we know how the game launch is actually shaken out. Till then, though, do you want more drama? Corporate drama? Wow.
I'll link it to you guys. This is a good video from Belluor. I pretty much agree with everything that he said, except for like maybe a couple of things. I think that Ubisoft, here's what's really fucked up. The gameplay in a lot of these Ubisoft games, aside from like the stealth gameplay, like the Prince of Persia combat on a fundamental level, like the Lost Crown, and the Assassin's Creed combat feels relatively good. Like, it's not bad combat. But the big problem is that the leadership and the way that the games are delivered and the way they're marketed and like big picture design decisions are bad. And when you think about that, I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, if I'm just a grunt and like my job is to just program things to look good and to feel good to play, I'm doing my job. And I think it sucks that if they do this restructuring, that all of those people that do good work, all of those people are going to probably be let go. Or at least the majority of them. Yeah, it sucks. Combat's way too rigid. I mean, I think it's okay, right? It's not amazing, but like, it's okay. Yeah, once you get Gaunt, you realize how bad once you get, as soon as I play Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, that's the thing. There's a very good chance that if I play the game and like I see these other games are like way fucking better, then, sure, that maybe could happen. But I do think that in a general sense, the big problem of what happened is that I think a lot of Western game studios have totally lost their focus and they don't understand at all about like what should or shouldn't happen in the game anymore and what should or shouldn't be in the game anymore at all. And I think that's really the big weakness that a lot of these development studios have, is that they don't have a focus in a way that is meaningful and that matters. Western games are just DEI instead of a good game. Yeah, I unironically, like, and I know this might get me in trouble, but I unironically think that the over-fixation on DEI representation, and I think hiring based off of that too, because, like, here's the way I see it. Like, I view diversity as something that usually naturally occurs whenever you engage in an international market. Like, you know, or a widespread market. Like, if you have a company that's only in Japan, you're going to have only really Japanese people that are going to play that game, right? Or work at that company. But if you're talking about, like, an international thing, and think about it with streaming, right? For example, like, if you pull up, like, let me go back, I'll pull up Twitch tracker. So let's just look at, we'll look at channels here. So Kai, all of these people, me, Queso, Kadril, like, Loud Kringa, Jinxie, Hassan, like this, I think he's this Japanese guy. If you look at all these people, there is a tremendous amount of diversity here. It is completely multicultural. It is multiracial. It is all guys. But other than that, it's all different people, right? And that's the thing. And so my point is, no women? Well, yeah, because it's a male-dominated platform. Like, that's really the reason why. And so if you look at this, like, there's tons of different people, tons of different races of people. So I look at diversity as something that if you provide an even playing field, diversity will happen naturally. But when you're hiring based off of diversity, and you're hiring based off of diversity-based goals, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up hiring people that are not the best fit. Because that's the reason, like, if this was happening naturally and you were hiring people that were the best fit, you wouldn't need these goals in the first place in order to keep things on these rails. So the only reason why you have these goals is so you can artificially add these people into the ecosystem, while at the same time not taking the person that you would have naturally taken that would have been maybe a better fit for the company, maybe a better employee or something like that. And so merit needs to be the only focus that you have. And I think that when you have a merit-based, and this is the point that I was making, is when you have a merit-based system like Twitch, nobody gets a career given to them on Twitch. People decide, like, there are people that get hosted every single day and they don't get any viewers, etc. You have a massively diverse group of people whenever you open things up to anybody can do this. And if you look at, for example, like the guys that work at X, like at Twitter, you're going to see the exact same thing. It's subjective? No, it's not. I think the truth is that it's the same with the Olympics. Like, you see people all over around in the world that are successful in the Olympics. Like, I am not a diversity disliker. I am a forced diversity disliker because I think that it's counterproductive. I think diversity happens naturally. Like, if you just look at, and again, you just look at, like, pictures of me and, like, videos of me whenever I was in high school, or, like, you know, I don't know, I have a few from middle school, right? Like, or college, you'll see that, like, I have tons of friends that are of all different nationalities, all different races, religions, everything, right? Because it's just normal. Like growing up online, that was the default. That was